Madam Chair. Good evening, and welcome to the Joint Planning and Zoning Board and Board of Commissioners meeting of April the 1st, 2025. I am Briggs Simmons, the Planning and Zoning Chair. Prior to this meeting, announcements were posted and notices sent to all board members, commissioners, staff, interested parties, and applicants participating in the meeting. I will now turn it over to Dr. Ramona Jackson-Jones to introduce and confirm the presence of the commissioners. Madam Chairman.
Thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Again, I'm Dr. Ramona Jackson-Jones, the Chairwoman of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners, and I will call roll. Vice Chairman, District 4 Commissioner Mark Alcarez.
Present.
District 1 Commissioner Henry Mitchell III.
Present.
District 2 Commissioner Kenner Jones.
Present.
District 3 Commissioner Martin Raxton.
Present.
All right, we do have a quorum. I yield the floor back to you, Chairman Simmons.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Also present, we have members of the Planning and Zoning Board. If you would confirm your presence when I call your name. Our Vice Chairman, Rob Thomas from District 3.
Present.
Melissa Pope, District 4.
Present.
Oric Curry, District 2.
Present.
Brandon Penniman, District 1.
Present.
And Frank Payne, our at-large member.
Present.
Our Douglas County School System representative is excused tonight. Allison Duncan, our Planning and Zoning Manager, will now introduce the county staff and Planning and Zoning staff present in the meeting. Ms. Duncan.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight we have with us our Chief of Staff, Tiffany Stewart Stanley. We have our Chief Assistant County Attorney, Audrey Lewis. We have our County Engineer, Travis McDonald. We have Bruce Mercer from the Douglas County Department of Transportation. We have our County Planner, Melody Glenn. We have our Zoning Administrator, Austin Cronin. And we have the Clerk of the Planning and Zoning Board, Johanna Womack. And as always, we're grateful for our communications team and our sheriff's deputies for being here with us tonight as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There's a reversionary clause that applies to each rezoning, and that is the applicant, the agent, or the property owner has 24 months to vest the zoning change after the Board of Commissioners have granted an approval. As far as tonight's procedure goes, I will conduct the public hearings on each matter. Planning and zoning staff will introduce each application, followed by a full presentation on that application. The applicant or their representative and members of the public in favor of the application will be able to present their information. We've allotted 15 minutes total time. That's 2 minutes per person to speak. After that closes, the public that are in opposition to an application will also have an allocated time of 15 minutes or 2 minutes per person to speak in opposition. After the opposition completes their input or the time is elapsed, the hearing will be closed. At that time, the staff will clarify any points of the zoning case. If the staff is unable to satisfy the board's representative questions, the board will ask the applicant or the applicant's representative for points of clarification. And this is not a time to represent their case. Planning and Zoning Board will then entertain a motion, followed by the commissioners. Our first agenda item tonight is the approval of the March 4th, 2025 regular Joint Planning and Zoning Board meeting. Planning and Zoning Board members, after reviewing, do you have any changes, comments, or questions concerning the minutes? Hearing none, I'll call for a motion to approve the minutes of March 4th, 2025.
This is Frank Payne. I recommend approval of the minutes from the March 4th, 2025 meeting.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Rob Thomas, a second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes of March 4th, 2025, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you very much. That's unanimous. Madam Chair, the minutes of March the 4th, 2025 come to the board with a unanimous recommendation for approval.
Thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Board of Commissioners, you've had an opportunity to review the minutes from the March 4th, 2025 meeting. Are there any changes or revisions that need to be made before I call a motion? Okay, being none, Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to approve the minutes for the March 4th, 2025 meeting?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. It is in a discussion, Board. We have a motion and a second. All in favor to approve, please indicate by raising your right hand. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries. And I yield the floor back to you, Chairman Simmons.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, I think, Mr. Cronin, you have our next agenda item.
All right, good evening, Planning and Zoning Board, Board
Wait a
of
minute.
Commissioners.
No, we need to untable that before you present it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Planning and Zoning Board, do I have a motion to untable S 2025-18?
Mr. Chairman, this is Rob Thomas. I'd like to make a motion to untable agenda item S 2025-18 that was tabled on March 4th, 2025 zoning meeting.
Do I have a second? I have a motion.
Frank Payne, second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? If not, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of untabling S 2025-18, please signify by raising your hand. Again, that's unanimous. Madam Chairman, S 2025-18 comes to the board with a recommendation to untable.
Thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to untable S 2025-18? Do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to untable special use permit agenda item S 2025-18 for discussion tonight.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion, Board? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of untabling S 2025-18, please indicate by raising your right hand. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries. I yield the floor back to you as this item has been untabled.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Now, Mr. Cronin, would you present the next item?
Yes, sir. So our first item is a special use permit to allow a personal care home at 7016 Skyline Drive in Lithia Springs. The lot is 0.5 acres. This is in Commission District Number 1. From available appraisal department data, the dwelling is 1,693 heated square feet and was built in 1971. The dwelling has 4 bedrooms and 2 full baths. The site is a corner lot fronting both Skyline Drive and Blue Sky Way. The applicant's proposing a personal care home for individuals who are developmentally disabled. This will be monitored by the Georgia Department of Community Health with funding from the Georgia Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities, who has its own set of regulations. Ages of patients range and are to be determined on an assessment of needs basis per the community information meeting held in February. We've taken a look at the code section, and the proposed use will not alter the principal character of the use as single-family residential and will operate only as accessory. The Unified Development Code controls that the applicant is a full-time resident of the facility, so the property will be owner-occupied. Owner occupancy status might limit the amount of individuals available under care, given the rules and regulations of the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities as it relates to resident crowding and accommodations for bed, closet, and wardrobe, and requirements for the standards for a bedroom and floor plan arrangement. The proposed use might involve residents who would have visitors, limiting the storage of vehicles on the property, given that the site was not outfitted for a commercial use, would ensure that the residential character of the exterior of the site is maintained. So we've taken a look at the special use criteria. It's residential low density, and it's a corner lot. It's in the urban residential future land use and the traditional neighborhood character area. Staff's recommending approval with conditions based on the findings that the use will not modify the comprehensive plan or the intent, purpose, or spirit of the UDC, and the granting of the special use permit will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare. The conditions are that the applicant shall submit to the Development Review Committee adequate plans to address the agency impact statements included within the staff report, as well as additional requirements under the relevant governing codes of these departments. All required improvements shall be made prior to the issuance of occupational tax certification. Prior to the issuance of the occupational tax certificate, the applicant must provide proof of a permit issued by the relevant governing departments of the state of Georgia. A maximum of 2 vehicles shall be parked outside of the home at any given time. On-street parking is strictly prohibited. This condition is applicable to all residents and visitors. There shall be no more than 2 unrelated individuals allowed to occupy a single bedroom. The property shall be used as an owner-occupied, single-family, detached residence and personal care home only. Any other use shall be presented before the Board of Commissioners for review and approval. And that concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cronin. If I remember correctly, we had the public hearing at the last meeting. So there's no public hearing at this point in time. There was some questions from the board to the applicant. Is the applicant present? Yes, sir. You'd come to the podium, please, sir. Board, do you have any questions of the applicant at this point in time?
It's Rob Thomas. I have a couple questions. So, I think how you doing? Good
sir.
to see you again. So, one of the concerns was the clients that you're going to be bringing on board. And you mentioned that I think you had a consultant that's helping you with this as well.
Yes, sir.
I think the category that you were going to be primarily using are patients or guests that has a type of developmental issues or, okay, can you kind of talk more about that a little bit, the developmental issues that you're going to accept at your home?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So, when we talk about people, individuals with developmental disabilities, we're referring to those with chromosomal disorders. So, for
Can you
example,
speak up a little bit?
those with chromosomal disorders. So, for example, people with Down syndrome, people also with syndrome effects that delays their, the development of, probably they were born with it. Maybe their hands are underdeveloped, their foot are underdeveloped. So you see, we have people in our community that have these kind of disabilities, which does not well develop their arms or any parts of their body. So so our main goal is to actually host people with chromosomal disorders. And when we talk about chromosomal disorders, there are a lot. I took time to actually look into it and print. With your permission, I could share, which is also easily verifiable online. But these are the individuals. And also for these individuals, we are not looking for people with a higher level of care. We are also looking at people with minimum level of care.
Okay, so you're able to pick and choose who you want. And
Yes.
what's your maximum that you're going to be able to have at the house? You
Two
at the
individuals,
house?
yes, sir.
Okay, because the house is not that large. Okay.
Yes, sir. And also, like we shared at the last meeting, it's just two individuals, and we are not also looking to, go beyond that. And like I said, the level of care is also very low. It's not on the high. And we are also able to look through, before we accept any individual in our home, there is a case study for each individual, and you look through, read through everything, and then before you decide to accept or deny the case.
Okay. Thank you. I yield.
Any other questions, planning and zoning? I have one. I believe you were going
Yes,
to
sir.
make contact with some of the neighbors and discuss this with them.
Yes,
Did
sir.
you do that?
Yes, sir. So my wife and I were in the neighborhood on 3 different occasions. But before then, we actually also was able to speak to a couple of neighbors right after our meeting last month. We spoke to Mr. Steve. Upon speaking with Mr. Steve, we realized that one of his major concerns was the fact that the building or the house was not made for that purpose. And we did let him know that we don't intend doing any structural changes to the house. And these are homes that the state would actually come in to inspect to decide, whether the house is fit for that use or not. And we also spoke to Ms. Terra. Ms. Terra was here our last meeting, but she couldn't make it today. She said her major concern was the fact that if we were going to host individuals with behavioral issues, and we did assure her that we are not going to host any individual with behavioral issues, so she was okay with that as well. And beyond that, we also spoke to Mr. Luco and Miss Yolin. They were very open, and they invited us into their home. We had a discussion. Their 2 main concerns were that one, which we cleared up in our first meeting. One was that we were not going to house or host people with behavioral health issues. And the second one was that the tenant living in the house right now was not so neighborly. So they weren't okay with the idea, and they thought I was the tenant living in the house at the time. We made the first, we showed up for the first meeting. So they also showed support for us, and then they are also good to go. Beyond that, we also went to other neighbors. We couldn't meet all of them. We left notes for some instances with our contact numbers. For example, Miss Terra, even though she told us she didn't have any issue, we still wanted to make sure she was okay. So we went to her home. We couldn't get her at home, but we actually she communicated with us through email, and she told us she was very busy. She had a lot going on, but she also didn't have any issue. And she said, and actually I printed the email correspondence. If with your permission, I could share with you.
That's okay with.
She also said she didn't have any issues with us, and looking forward for us to move in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one other thing before you go, there were 5 conditions that were proposed. Are you in agreement with those 5 petitions?
Yes, sir.
Conditions?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this point in time, I'll throw it over to the Board of Commissioners for any questions you folks may have.
Thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Board of Commissioners, do we have any questions at this time? Commissioner Raxton, you have the floor.
All right, thank you. Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
So I just out of curiosity, the age range of the individuals that you're looking at, are these adults or these children?
These are adults.
These are adults,
Yes,
okay. And then the only other question, in the event that there is a celebration like a birthday, how will, and one of the conditions is no more than 2 parked cars, how are you going to manage that as far as on-street parking if there's other family or friends, or, you know, if there's like a birthday celebration, how would you help to manage that?
Yes, so I have 2 answers for that. The very first one is we are able to organize these birthdays or parties for them at the adult daycare center. And then also beyond that, they are also able to visit their families. So we can also have that done at their, at their family's house or residence.
Okay, all right, so the families will not then be coming
Yes, sir.
on site? Okay, all right, great. All right, Madam Chair, I yield the floor back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Raxton. Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes, I just have a couple. So you talked about those clients of yours, I don't know if you can hear me, those clients that you will be housing, and there will be no individuals with behavioral issues, correct?
Yes, sir.
That'll be 0.
0, sir.
And I guess I'll let staff with that, and they can answer this a little bit later. With that being said, is that part of one of the conditions? So we'll answer that when you guys get a chance. The other part, and there will be at no time, no more than 2 clients of yours at the home, along with yourself and whomever else you've got staying there.
Yes, sir.
That's it.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And I guess staff,
And-
if you can just make sure, are those 2 items conditioned or part of, or did I miss it?
Could you repeat your question? I'm so sorry.
Okay, so there will be no behavioral clients, and I don't know what we could categorize that as, as an issue with the community, or that community had asked about those types of clients that they could have, which they will not, based on the applicants and their conversation now. So is there a such condition of that caliber, or you can't condition that?
In my opinion, I think that this is going to be hard to get into the type of individual who could live
Okay.
there. There are definitions of personal care homes and what's appropriate for a personal care home.
Got it.
So I would not be comfortable with getting into whether or not an individual with specific characteristics may or may
Okay.
not be able to live there. I think what you are looking at is the land use, and I do believe that Mr. Cronin has, there should be no more than 2 unrelated individuals to occupy, a single bedroom. I think we can cap the total number of residents
Okay.
that they are allowed, in the house. But I think that getting into the
I get
specific
it.
circumstances of the
Understood.
individual is a bit beyond our
Understood.
purview.
Understood, but the 2 client setting, that's within the conditions, correct?
Right. So again, we can modify it to make it clear that there shall be no more than 2 unrelated individuals total under care in this facility.
If we could.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, we
Outside-
understand that, and we have that
Right.
in the record. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Outside of that, I yield back, Madam Chair.
Okay. Just had one question for you
Yes, ma'am.
regarding, that it is a distinction between behavioral health and development disability. It's a big big difference.
Yes.
So
yes,
you're
ma'am.
focusing, it seems like you changed your model just a little bit. You're moving more along the lines of developmental disability. Is that what you're looking at, which is a little different? Because if you mentioned Down syndromes,
Yeah.
and that's developmental disability,
Yes, ma'am.
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I see your nurse back there nodding her head. So is that the
Yes,
model?
ma'am. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so it's a difference. And that's why when Commissioner Mitchell asked, could that be part of the condition? Planning and zoning manager, if you could just take the podium, it's a difference in the model. So I know you said you can't make a distinction, but it is really a distinction between those type of,
Right. So again,
Patients.
I think as we've shared in other circumstances, when it comes to the land use, that is the purview of what we do in planning and zoning. When it comes to sort of the human care aspect of this, we're going to defer that to another, department, because specifically we don't have the expertise for that. Personal care homes are typically, providing services for one or more daily things that the individual cannot do for themselves. Right. So I think that beyond sort of saying that this personal care home shall be providing for individuals who, for whatever reason, cannot care for themselves, I don't know that I think that we're comfortable getting much beyond that in terms of deferring to the state as to how they would regulate that specific circumstance. So I would say if there is a concern about how this use is going to fit into the neighborhood, then it's probably best to advise that through the vote as opposed to kind of running afoul of some sort of specific characteristic of an individual that may or may not be perceived as not being completely equal for that individual.
right.
Is that fair?
Yeah, it's fair.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mhm. All right, any other questions, board? Okay. All right. Vice Chair, you have the floor.
I keep hearing the concern in regards to behavioral health and Down syndrome. Trust me, I'm very much for this. My son's a special education teacher, but even those with Down syndrome do at times become combative. So that's things that we've got to keep in mind. They're great. They're great loving. I mean, I'm not saying I have any problem with that whatsoever, but I understand some of the issues that are being sparked up here in regards to we don't want someone with behavioral health issues, but just want to put that on the record. And I yield back, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Okay.
I want to
Commissioner
make
Kenner
sure
Jones.
that we are focusing on the land use and not potentially putting ourselves into water where we may be making a decision that would be a violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act or any other discriminatory practices. And so if I'm understanding you correctly, you want us to ensure that we are voting based on what the land use would be if the rezoning is proper. And it may have confused people when you mentioned DBHDD as an entity that's going to be helping fund this. That department is a department of the state that does provide funding for both behavioral health and disability health in a variety of ways, but that doesn't necessarily mean that this home is going to be a home for people with heightened behavioral issues.
And I concur, and I was kind of nudging Allison when we were discussing that, and I think you all picked up on it. My concern was that we don't want to get into anything that might be considered discriminatory.
Right.
There
Okay.
are typically state provisions that do cover those types of regulations. Certainly, if those are concerns the board has, it can be reflected in the vote, but I am wary of any conditions splicing that out.
Okay, we agree. All right, with that being said, if no more questions from the board, I'll yield the floor back to you, Chairman Sims.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Okay.
Planning and Zoning Board, you've heard the presentations and the discussion. Do I have a motion on S 2025-18?
This is Frank Payne. I recommend approval of S 2025-18, a request for a special use permit to allow a personal care home located at 7016 Skyline Drive, 30122, with the findings and conditions as outlined by staff.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Having no discussion, I'll call for the question. All in favor of approving S 2025-18 as stated, please signify by raising your hand. All opposed? Thank you. Madam Chairman, S 2025-18 comes to you with a recommendation for approval with the conditions read in.
Thank you so much. Board of Commissioners, you've heard all the questions and answers. Do we have a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve item S 2025-18 with the said conditions, with the adjusted, the fourth one. And Allison, if you will just come back up and restate that particular one as the condition for approval.
Certainly. Yes, sir. Condition number 4 shall be revised to read that there shall be no more than 2 unrelated individuals allowed to occupy the house in addition to the family that lives there. So not just to occupy a single bedroom, but we understand that it is the desire to have 2 unrelated individuals maximum occupying the house if this is approved as a personal care home.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Outside of that, that would be my motion.
I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion, board? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand for approval. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote and the motion carries. And I yield the floor back to you, Chairman Simmons.
Thank you
for
very
approval.
much. Best of luck to you with that. Mr. Cronin, you have our next agenda item, please.
Yes, sir. Our next agenda item is a special use permit. S 2025-21 to allow a pumpkin farm and seasonal events located at 3861 Highway 166. The lot is approximately 2 acres. This is in Commission District Number 3. Property is vacant with recent timbering activity occurring approximately May of 2024 and timbering only a portion of the site. Property has frontage along 166. Applicants proposing a seasonal agricultural related activity as a business oriented use that offers hay rides, pumpkin patch, and small children activities. So we've taken a look at the relevant code sections. The proposed use is treated as an agricultural related activity under Article 3, Section 348F of the Unified Development Code, and this provides a minimum of 100-foot setback from all property lines for all activity areas, as well as limiting the hours of operation from
Just hold just 1 second. We're just trying
Going
to,
on back there that need to be taken outside.
allow the room to clear. Just give us a second. Thank you.
Okay, I think
All
we're
right.
good now.
Yes, sir. So the Unified Development Code limits the hours of operation from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. from Monday through Sunday. The special use permit would entitle the entire site, so the limits of the activity area might need to be better defined so as not to encroach into the Metropolitan River Protection Act corridor, which is a 2,000-foot corridor stretching from the Chattahoochee River. The site plan provided is insufficient for the standards of a concept plan under Article 12 of the Unified Development Code, so additional considerations not known from the first iteration of the concept plan presented here would need to be addressed through the Development Review Committee process to ensure the preservation of public health, safety, and welfare. The proposed use promotes a balance between the preservation of the rural character of the Byway Reserve while also offering a recreation and agricultural-oriented use that is anticipated to be a lesser intensive commercial use. In the last 5 years, the Board of Commissioners has approved 7 agriculturally oriented uses. By Commission District, there are 5 in Commission District Number 4, 1 in Commission District Number 2, and 1 in Commission District Number 3. We've taken a look at the special use criteria, and it's currently residential agricultural, and here's the site. And here's a survey of the site, and you can see the planned 2-acre site that they propose. It's in the Rural Places Future Land Use and the Byway Reserve Character Area. Staff's recommending approval with conditions based upon the findings that the proposed use will not modify the comprehensive plan. If reviewed further by the Development Review Committee, the proposed use will not modify the intent, purpose, or spirit of the Unified Development Code. And if reviewed further by the Development Review Committee, the granting of the special use permit will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare. The conditions staff is proposing are that the applicant must submit to the Development Review Committee for review and consideration of the relevant developmental standards of the Unified Development Code and any additional concerns as expressed in the departmental agency impact statements provided within this report or requirements as determined by the Development Review Committee. The concept plan proposed will be required to meet the standards of Article 12, Section 1206D of the Unified Development Code. The use in any capacity, including but not limited to driveways, activity areas, and structures, shall not encroach into the boundaries of the Metropolitan River Protection Act corridor unless the project has applied for and received a certificate of compliance from the Douglas County Board of Commissioners. The use of this property for seasonal special events shall be of limited duration and related to a holiday or season corresponding to the calendar year. The area of approval for this use shall be within the new area cleared and developed for this use as of the date of this approval. The use may not expand on the property without asking for additional approvals or permits, including but not limited to timbering, grading, or building permits. The special use permit shall be approved for 1 year from the date of this ordinance. At the end of the 1 year from this date of the ordinance, today being April 1st, that date being April 1st, 2026, the applicant shall resubmit for an extension of the special use permit. If the applicant fails to seek an extension or if the extension is not approved, the use of the property for seasonal special events shall cease. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cronin. At this point in time, I'll open the public hearing on this matter. If anyone wishing to speak in favor of this application will approach the podium. That includes the applicant or the applicant's representative. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? If you'd state your name and address for the record, and then you have 2 minutes.
Catherine Lawrence Blacker, 3861 Highway 166, Douglasville, Georgia, 30135. I'm the sister to John Lawrence, and my brother and my mother, Sandy Lawrence here, are the owners of this property and this event, Possum Holler. Our goal here is to provide a family-friendly entertainment and promote agritourism in Douglas County. We are committed to supporting our community by partnering with local food vendors, entertainers, and small businesses. For the upcoming season, we have enlarged our pumpkin patch, expanded our raw honey operations, and added a vendor marketplace. We are also extending into the holidays to provide another opportunity for residents of Douglas and surrounding counties to enjoy the festive season. This mission is deeply personal to us, as our property has been home to 5 generations of our family. With the success of this mission, we hope to preserve our property and our family business for many more generations. We are very thankful for the tremendous support that we had for our temporary season in the fall. We had a lot of positive feedback, and we look forward to creating more family memories for residents of Douglas and surrounding counties at Possum Hollow. Today, we've got 3 representatives, if you may. We'll start with the first one, KJ Newton, who is one of our neighbors.
If you would finish your presentation, and then with anyone else wishing to speak,
Oh,
can
okay.
come up.
I did, the end, thank you.
Okay, all right, are you finished?
Yes,
Before you go,
okay?
you heard the conditions that were read into the record. There were 5 of them.
Yes, sir.
Are you in agreement with those conditions?
We'll definitely do what we need to do to make sure this happens. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else wishing to speak in favor, please approach the podium.
Okay. Christine Contreras also.
It'll- State your name and address for the record, sir, in 2 minutes.
All right, my name is Kalen Newton, and you said state my
Or address.
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 Like,
Where do you live?
okay, I live in Douglas County. I'm next door neighbors with John Lawrence. So I'm here. Do I need to say my actual address?
Yes.
Okay, 3751 Highway 166, Douglasville, Georgia. Zip code 30135.
Okay.
Social Security. No, I'm just kidding. I'm here in full support with John Lawrence and his family because I truly believe what they're doing. I help contribute to going toward this pumpkin patch. I felt like a resident. There's not much to do in our area. I didn't have anything written down. I came straight from work in full support of my next door neighbor and good friend. I'm in full support. I came to experience what they had to offer, and I purely enjoyed myself. I came with my wife and my 2 nieces, and we had honey, we had pumpkins, we had a bunch of stuff that we won't forget. And without that opportunity, we wouldn't have done anything, or we would have had to go 2 hours away to experience, something similar. So I'm here fully in support of what they have to offer and what they're doing.
Great.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? State your name and address for the record in 2 minutes.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Christine Contreras. My address is 337 Country Club Drive in Hiram, Georgia, 30141. I work with Lisa, but I'm also a close friend of hers. I have personally visited Possum Holler with my 3 boys, my entire family, and all the way from 2017 and 8. So that's a hard crowd to please. They all had an amazing time. It's great going to a place that has got clean, safe fun for the family, with not a far drive. They had a lot to offer. My 20-year-old was even playing with my 8-year-old. It was so much fun. I definitely would ask that you guys consider, extending out the permit. It's great that also you can go back to and feed into the local community. They had local soap bars that were made there. You can purchase honey and the pumpkins that were there. It was just a really good time and opportunity. So that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak? Name and address, and then 2 minutes.
Good evening, Commissioners, Chairman. Tiffany Scott, 110 Bork Way, Ackworth, Georgia, 30101. Although I'm in Ackworth, my husband is actually a broker for Keller Williams Cityside, so we do a lot of business there. And this is a great opportunity as far as business and community and coming together. I was able to go with Lisa, and John was working at that time, and ride the actual route of the hayride, as well as just see the pumpkin harvesting. It's really, really nice to see as far as when the kids come out, they can see as they do the harvest ride, the hay ride, as well as the bee harvesting. There's the opportunity for that. Those that went to the actual pumpkin patch, able to purchase the pumpkins that they are harvesting, as well as experience and taste the honey that the bees are making. So it's a great experience that we had out together, walking and riding in the community in the hayride. It's a large property. It's really, really a great opportunity for those to come out. Community event, having someone out there. As Mr. Newton said, there's not a lot to offer out here as far as that with local agriculture and allowing the kids to see that. So I am definitely in favor of that.
Thank you very much for
You're
your
quite
comments. Anyone else? Name and address, and in 2 minutes.
Should have worn heels, sorry. My name is Brianna Shellnut, and my address is 1870 Crabapple Lane, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. And of course, I'm in favor of Possum Holler. Last year in October, I was able to visit with my 2 young children, 2 under 2. Very hard to find something to do in Douglasville for 2 under 2. So I was very grateful for Possum Holler. They provided an incredibly clean, amazing, fun environment. My husband and I had a great time. The hayride was, I kid you guys not, the best hayride I have ever been on. It was fabulous. It was amazing. It was creative. It was very fun. We had a wonderful time. I told all my friends to come. Bring their toddlers, bring their babies, bring their older children. Everyone had a great time, and it greatly enhanced Douglasville. I think that Douglasville is a very family-friendly county. I think that there's a lot of people who want things to do with their kids, and Possum Holler just enhances that. So, I'm in favor.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor, please approach the podium. Name and address. And
Greetings, Scott Powers, 8293 Hagan Street, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. Pleasure to talk with you all. I'm actually speaking on behalf, Madam Chairwoman, you produced a fantastic promotional video maybe 2 years ago talking about the agricultural kind of corridor of Douglas County. And there is not a better representation of trying to preserve a little bit of our agricultural heritage in Douglas County than an event that includes family activities. In my career, I've managed huge numbers of events, small events, big events, hot air balloon festivals, corporate marketing events for General Motors. And so I've had the opportunity to be behind the scenes and see how things are executed and done well and done very poorly at times. And I have to say that this family stepped up to do something incredible with a piece of property that's been in their family for a long time, have done an amazing job of learning the event business, of figuring out the logistics of how to get people in and how to get people out and how to just make it safe and easy and not have a big impact on the community. I actually visited twice. It was a fantastic experience, and I absolutely encourage all of you to come out this year and take it in as well. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Name and address in 2 minutes.
Hello, my name is Ann Rohr, 3841 Oak Hill Road, Douglasville, Georgia, 30135. I am an entertainer. I've been in the entertainment business for over 35 years. Based originally in Atlanta and moved to Douglasville about 15 years ago? I don't know. But anyways, being at this event and attending to this event as a first-year event blew me away. The details, the carefulness that they were in planning, and they had somebody attending to the parking, people attending everywhere to make sure nobody was getting hurt, everybody was safe. And you know, I have been to thousands and thousands and thousands of events as an entertainer, doing face painting and balloons and stilt walking and juggling. And the activities they had for the children were fantastically built, safe, people watching. They had attendants everywhere, and I was really impressed with the safety features and what they did to make sure everybody was having a good time and being safe, and I thought that was really important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor, please approach the podium. Okay, seeing no one moving, I'll close the public hearing in favor and open the public hearing in opposition. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application, please approach the podium. Okay, seeing no one moving, I will close the public hearing on this matter. Planning and Zoning Board, you have heard the presentation of staff and the applicant. Do you have any questions of either?
It's Brandon Penham. I got a couple questions for the applicant, please. All right, Mr.
Please
Lawrence.
state your name and address.
6854 Five Knox Road, Douglasville, Georgia, 3135. Again, John Lawrence.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Lawrence. First off, I want to commend you guys because I know it's hard to get men to say that they enjoy the pumpkin patch. So that's huge. But my question really quickly is, I heard you guys mention holidays. What specific holidays would you guys be catering to?
Well, we're just looking for Halloween, you know, the fall period, and then maybe like a weekend event for Christmas.
Okay, Halloween and Christmas would be the main two?
Yep.
Okay, so y'all calendar year for y'all is what, like September through December type deal?
Pretty much, yeah.
And then as far as like operation times, it would be on the weekends, or what are your operation times between September and December?
Just on the weekends.
Just on the weekends, okay. And then what time y'all close?
Well, last time we closed about 5.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, great. That's all my questions. Thank
Any
you.
other questions, planning and zoning?
I just have one more question. It appears that you've been operating for a little while.
Well, we just did the one event last year.
Just the one event?
We've been on the farm for numerous years.
Okay. And it's just pumpkins? Do you grow anything else?
No, we just have the apiary with bees. And then, of course, we wanted to do a corn maze, but we couldn't do it this year.
You do honey there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, Madam Chairman, I'll throw it over planning and zoning for questions you folks may have.
Okay, thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Board of Commissioners, we have any questions? Commissioner Raxton, you have the floor.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Just want to learn more about the Possum Holler. Is that the main event that we're looking to get the special use permit for? Or are there any other events and activities in addition to Possum Holler?
No, Possum Holler is the event.
Okay. All right, so it's Possum Holler. And then I heard about honey. Can you tell me a little bit about the honey? Is that part of it, or?
Yeah, we started an apiary about 2 or 3 years ago,
Mhm.
and we just harvest our own honey and just sell it there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Okay, and you sell it during Possum Holler
Yeah.
or during other parts of the year?
We'll sell it to friends and family throughout the year, but I mean, we're not marketing anywhere or anything like that. We mainly just have it for Possum Holler.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Madam Chair. I yield the floor back to you.
Okay. Any other questions? Commissioner Kenneth Jones, you have the floor.
It's not really a question, but you guys are right down the street from my mom's house.
Yes, ma'am.
And my kids almost had me wreck the car screaming that there was pumpkins and hay rides off the side of the road. But I will say, I do appreciate, even with the size of the event and how many people you were catering to, I have no idea how you did it, but it did not disrupt the flow of traffic really at all down 166. So I do appreciate that, because that is a concern that a lot of residents in Douglas County have when we bring something new. What's it going to do for the traffic? But it was really minimal disruption at all. So I really appreciate you guys for thinking through parking, how you were going to get people in and out. It was wonderful. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Okay. Any other comments, board? Okay. I yield the floor back to you.
Thank you, Madam
Chairman
Chair.
Simmons.
You may sit down, sir.
Thank you.
Planning and Zoning Board, you've heard the discussion and the presentation. Do I have a motion on S 2021-25?
Mr. Chairman, this is Rob Thomas. I'd like to make a motion to approve S 2025-21, a special use permit to allow pumpkin farm and seasonal events located at 3861 Highway 66, with the conditions written by staff.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Or Curry, second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on this matter? Hearing none, all in favor of approving S 2025-21 as read into the record, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you very much. That's unanimous. Madam Chairman, unanimous recommendation from us for S 2025-21 for approval with conditions.
Very good. Board of Commissioners, you've heard all the questions and answers. Do we have a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair. I'd like to make a motion that we approve for a special use permit, application S 2025-21 with the conditions as read by staff.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the table. Any discussion, board? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the table. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote and the motion carries. Congratulations. I look forward to a hayride. I've never had one.
Thank you very much. Best of luck to you.
Okay. I yield the floor back to you, Chairman Simmons.
I'll be there with you, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Our next agenda item, please, Mr. Cronin.
Yes, sir. So our next agenda item is S 2025-22. This is a special use permit to allow mobile dog grooming business from the home. Located at 925 North Flat Rock Road. The lot size is 10 acres. This is in Commission District Number 4. There's an 8,077 square foot single-family detached residence sited. The subject site is on a corner lot with driveway access from North Flat Rock Road. The applicants are proposing to pick up dogs from their homes, groom them on the site, and the proposed use will be conducted as a home-based business. We've taken a look at the relevant code sections. In 1980, there was a prior zoning action to allow a temporary land use permit for a mobile home. This use is no longer in operation. So conducting the grooming operations fully enclosed within the single-family detached residence would mitigate impacts of noise, light, glare, and odor that could emanate from the property. The applicants will not have individuals in connection with the business, customers, or employees visit the site. The principal use will not be affected by conducting the proposed home-based business. We've taken a look at the special use criteria. It's a 10-acre site, and it's a corner lot. It's in the Rural Places Future Land Use and the Rural Reserve Character Area, and staff's recommending approval with conditions based upon the findings that the granting of the use will not modify the intent, purpose, or spirit of the UDC, and the granting of the use will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare. The proposed conditions are that the special use permit approval is for dog grooming only. No dog boarding, breeding, or training uses are permitted as an approval of this application, and no more than 2 animals to receive grooming as a part of the business clientele will be permitted on the property at one time. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cronin. At this point in time, I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this application, including the applicant or the applicant's representative, please approach the podium. You would have 2 minutes per person. If you would approach the podium so we can get it on record. Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes, ma'am.
State your name and address for the record.
My name is Jade Gonzalez, and we live at 925 North Flat Rock Road, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. So we were proposing to open up a dog grooming facility on the property. We do have a separate dwelling attached to the property. It's approximately 600 square feet. and it was previously going to be used for a different purpose, and we now decided to try this venture on the property. But it is a mobile dog grooming service where we would pick up animals, bring them to the property, and groom them at the property. So we would have no contact with any customers coming to the home or anything like that.
Okay. Did you hear the two conditions that were read into the record? Are
Can
you in
read those-
agreement with those?
Can you read those to me again?
The special use permit is for dog grooming only. No dog boarding, breeding, or training is permitted with this application.
That is correct.
No more than 2 animals to receive grooming as a part of the business's clientele at any one time.
That would be correct, yes.
Okay, so
If
you
in the-
are,
If in the future we wanted to do that,
then you would have to come back.
okay, not a problem, that's what I thought.
Okay?
Okay.
Thank you very much. If you would just stand by, we may have some questions for you in a
Sure.
minute. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application? Okay, seeing no one moving, I'll close the public hearing in favor. If you just have a seat there for a second.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application? Okay, seeing no one moving in opposition, I will close the public hearing on this matter. Planning and Zoning Board, do you have any questions of staff or Ms. Gonzalez?
Yeah, Mr. Curry, I have a question for the applicant.
If you would step back to the podium.
Yes.
Yes, so you said it's going to be mobile, so you're going to be transporting them in your private vehicle, or you're going to have a specific vehicle that's going to transport them back and forth?
A specific vehicle.
Okay. And how many employees that's going to be working there at a time?
Currently, we do not have any other employees other than myself and my husband and my son. We are just the sole owners of the business.
So how many are going to be grooming?
How many are going to be grooming?
Yes.
Just myself.
Okay. All right, I have no other question.
Rob Thomas, what are your hours of operation?
The hours of operation would be, right now, we have it designated at 8 a.m. to approximately 5 to 6 p.m., and that would be Saturday through Wednesday to Tuesday for now. If in the future we wanted to request more hours, we'll come back.
Have you spoken to your neighbors about?
I have spoken to a couple of my neighbors. One of my best friends lives right next door to me, and so they have absolutely no issues at all. Everyone seemingly on that road owns approximately at least 10 acres of land as far as I'm aware of. My neighbor to my left of me owns 10 acres, and the neighbor to my right of me owns way more than 10 acres. So we are not in a very community that has a lot of residents, so I can't see anyone being affected. And then behind our home, like I said, we own the 10 acres, but there are approximately an additional, maybe at least 15 more acres back there of uninhabited property.
Okay, so kind of secluded.
I'm sorry?
Kind of secluded as far as the noise abatement, as far
Oh,
as the
yeah.
dogs and
Oh,
all that?
absolutely,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, thank you. I yield.
Any other questions?
I just have one question. I have a dog myself, so I was just concerned, when you pick them up, do you have them, you crate them separately? How do you?
Yes.
What do you use, a van?
So we would have a van, and every animal that we would ever pick up to be in the home would be separated from each other, and they would be in a crate. And the crates in the van would be lodged onto the van. So we're definitely concerned about the safety of the animals, and we don't even want them interacting with each other, just for safety purposes.
Do you deliver them back to the owner?
Absolutely, absolutely. We don't want them.
I mean, I didn't know if we had to come and pick them up.
No. There's no residents coming to the home at all.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, Madam Chairman, I'll throw it over to the Board of Commissioners for questions you folks have.
All right, thank you so much, Chairman. Board of Commissioners, we have any questions? Commissioner Raxton, I'm so sorry.
Yes, good evening. Just getting more information about your services. What is your radius, and how far out will you travel to secure dogs and pick up dogs and bring them back? Just curious.
So at the moment, we are focusing in the Douglasville area, although we would potentially like to visit clients for dog services as far as Smyrna. So we're willing to drive out to that area.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you. Madam Chair, I yield the floor back to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Vice Chairman Alcaraz.
Just one question. If one of the dogs was to get loose out of the crate once you're transferring or moving them around, is there any way that you, or anything you have set up in regards to containing that animal? Is it pulled, is it fenced in? Is there, what's your plans if one of the dogs was to get loose from you from the crate?
I don't necessarily foresee that happening because the property that we will be bringing them on, for one, once they come from the vehicle, they will have a leash and they will be escorted to the back of the property that is designated for those services. And the facility that we're using is a two-part facility. One is for grooming purposes, and then there's an extra doorway with an additional 125 square feet of space where we would put the dogs to wait for their turn.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. I yield back, Madam Chair.
Okay, all right. Any other questions, Board? All right, I yield the floor back to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You can have a seat, Ms.
Thank you.
Gonzalez. Planning and zoning, you've heard the discussion. Do we have a motion on S 2025-22?
Mr. Brandon Penniman, I make a motion to approve application S 2025-22
With conditions.
with the conditions as read in by staff.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Frank Payne, second.
Motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of S 2025-22 approval with conditions, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you very much. That's unanimous. Madam Chairman, S 2025-22 comes to you with a recommendation for approval with conditions.
Thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Board of Commissioners, you've heard all the questions and answers. Do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve S 2025-22 with all the recommendations read in by staff.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion, Board? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries for S 2025-22. I yield the floor back to you,
Thank you,
Chairman
Madam Chairman.
Simmons.
Best of luck to you, Mr. Ms. Gonzalez. Our next agenda item, please, Ms. Glenn. Yeah.
Chairman, this is Rob Thomas. I've had to recuse myself from S 2025-23, Z 2025-24, and S 2025-25 due to real estate dealings.
Okay. Thank you very much. We will call you back in when we're finished.
And just for purposes of the record, we'd just like it to reflect that he's leaving the room. For purposes of the record, we just wanted it to reflect that he's leaving the room and will not be present.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello, Melanie.
The next case is Z 2025-23. The applicant is Wesley Carnes. The applicant is requesting a rezoning from residential agriculture to residential low density to combine the adjacent property. The property is located at 2466 Old Chestnut Log Road. It is 5.3 acres in Commission District 2. The subject property is mostly wooded. It's predominantly surrounded by residential zoning districts except for the commercially zoned property north of the subject parcel. The subject property is substantially larger than adjacent property. The applicant is proposing the rezoning of the parcel to be combined with the adjacent residential parcel. Here are the relevant code sections. There are no prior zoning actions. The proposed rezoning will allow applicants to combine the adjacent residential parcel, and it will be rezoned as residential low density. Staff, well, here are our criteria analysis. Here is the map, and for reference, the adjacent property is to the left of the subject property. The future land use is suburban living, and traditional neighborhood is the character area. Staff is recommending approval with conditions since the use will not substantially modify the intent, purpose, or spirit of the Douglas County Unified Development Code. Conditions include the applicant shall submit a recombination plat for approval by Douglas County's Planning and Zoning Department within 30 days of the rezoning approval,
and the applicant shall file the deeds to execute the recombination within 90 days of the rezoning approval. And that's all I have for y'all.
Okay, thank you very much, we appreciate it. At this point in time, I'll open the public hearing on this matter. Anyone, including the applicant or the applicant's representative, that'd like to speak in favor, please approach the podium. You have 2 minutes per person for an allocated time of 15 minutes. State your name and address for the record.
Wesley Carnes, I'm the applicant, 4051 Harvest Ridge Drive, Douglasville, Georgia, 30135. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you guys today regarding my request to rezone one of the 2 adjoining lots from ag to res. This request is a personal and important one to me, as it will allow my 65-year-old mother, Brenda Carnes, to combine her 2 lots and file for a homestead exemption. As she enters her retirement years, this exemption will provide financial relief and stability, ensuring she can continue to live comfortably in her home. Rezoning this lot residential aligns with the intended use of the property and will not negatively impact the surrounding area. My mother has lived in Douglas County for her entire life and wishes to remain in the community she calls home. This simple adjustment will allow her to do so while taking advantage of the benefits available to homeowners. I appreciate your time and consideration in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carnes. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application? Seeing no one moving, I'll close the public hearing in favor and open the public hearing in opposition. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition, please approach the podium. Okay, seeing no one moving, I'll close the public hearing on this matter. Planning and Zoning Board, do you have any questions of Mr. Carnes or staff? Hearing none, Madam Chairman, I'll throw it to the board for any questions you folks may have.
Okay. Board of Commissioners, do we have any questions at this time? Okay. I yield the floor back to you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Planning and Zoning, you've heard the comments, the presentation. Do I have a motion on Z 2025-23?
Mr. Brandon Penman, I make a motion to approve Z 2025-23 with the conditions as read in by staff.
I have a motion, I have a second.
Frank Payne, second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving Z 2025-23 with conditions read in, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you very much, that's unanimous. Madam Chairman, Z 2025-23 comes to the board with a unanimous recommendation for approval with conditions.
Thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Board of Commissioners, you've heard all the questions and answers. Do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve agenda item Z 2025-23 with the conditions as read in by staff.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion, board? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries. And I yield the floor back to you, Chairman Simmons.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carnes. Good luck. Thank you. All right, next agenda item, please, Mr. Cronin.
Yes, sir. Our next
Actually,
agenda.
there's 2 items here, right? A zoning and a special use permit.
Yes, sir. So the items are Z 2025-24 and S 2025-25. This is a rezoning and a special use permit. The rezoning is for heavy commercial with conditions to light industrial, and the special use permit is to allow heavy truck parking. This is located at 13571 Veterans Memorial Highway. The lot is 9.68 acres, and this is in Commission District Number 4. The property is currently mostly wooded with recent unapproved clearing. The property fronts both Campground Road and Veterans Memorial Highway. The case comes to the Board of Commissioners due to a citation for heavy truck parking on the premises without proper entitlement. The applicant is proposing a rezoning from heavy commercial with conditions to light industrial and a special use permit to allow heavy truck parking as a principal use. The applicant is proposing 2 parking areas, one 42,000 square feet closer to Veterans Memorial, which you'll see the site plan in just a second, and one 81,250 square feet, setback 80 feet from Campground Road. The parking areas are proposed to be gravel and asphalt millings. Taking a look at the relevant code sections, the prior zoning action from 1990 was a request for rezoning from R2 to C4, now heavy commercial, and it was approved with conditions. The conditions number 10, and they limit the particular uses on the property. The site, as presented, does not cluster the principal parking lot with the ancillary and reduces the density of the proposed use of the site. Sorry, with the ancillary parking areas. The proposed use is not compatible with the mixed-use corridor future land use designation, the Winston character area, or the Winston small area plan. The proposed use would be located within an undeveloped commercial node of Veterans Memorial Highway and outside of an anticipated light industrial area of Winston. The conditions on the property limit the use, specify architectural standards, and require additional buffering standards from any tributaries to Mobley Creek, as well as buffering to the south of the site and to a portion of the site fronting Campground Road. If relief is sought from the conditions, staff believes that a rezoning to modify the conditions or to return to the heavy commercial designation without conditions would be more appropriate. The proposed use would require light industrial zoning as well as a special use permit in order to be lawfully initiated. We've taken a look at the rezoning criteria and the special use criteria. Property is outlined in red. It's heavy commercial with conditions. Here it is as it's been developed. There have been recent unapproved clearings. This area is a little outdated. There's a site survey, and the property is within the mixed-use corridor future land use map in the Winston character area. Staff's recommending denial of the rezoning based on the following findings: that the proposed rezoning would modify the intent, purpose, or spirit of the comprehensive plan. The proposed rezoning would modify the intent, purpose, or spirit of the UDC. The proposed rezoning would allow for a greater intensity of use than what is envisioned in all long-range planning documents for this node of Veterans Memorial Highway, and the proposed use would adversely affect the public health, safety, and welfare. Staff's also recommending denial of the special use permit based upon the findings that the proposed use would modify the intent, purpose, or spirit of the comprehensive plan. The proposed use would modify the intent, purpose, or spirit of the Unified Development Code. The proposed use would introduce a land use outside of the identified light industrial centers of the Winston character area, and the proposed use would adversely affect the public health, safety, and welfare. Staff is recommending a condition if the Board of Commissioners is inclined to approve the special use permit request, the condition being that within 30 days the applicant must submit to the Development Review Committee for review and consideration of the relevant development standards of the Unified Development Code and any additional concerns as expressed in the departmental agency impact statements provided within this report or requirements as determined by the Development Review Committee. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Corona. At this point in time, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone, including the applicant, that wishes to speak in favor of this application, please approach the podium. We have 2 minutes per person. Just state your name and address for the record, and then you have 2 minutes, sir.
Good evening, Madam Chairwoman and Commissioners and members of the Planning and Zoning Board. My name is Terry Priest. My address is 2950 Campground Road, Winston, Georgia. I appreciate the opportunity to present my request to rezone my property from heavy commercial to light industrial. Additionally, I'm asking a special use permit to allow for outdoor storage and truck parking on site. The purpose of this request is to better align the property's use with the growing needs of our local economy. Light industrial zoning is more suitable for the type of business operations that would benefit from this location. And this adjustment will allow for more efficient land use while supporting job growth, economic development in Douglas County. A key component of this request is allowance for truck parking, as well as logistics and transportation industries continue to expand. Designated truck parking areas are essential for reducing unauthorized parking, improve traffic flow, and support local businesses that rely on freight movement. The site is well positioned to provide a safe and secure location for truck parking while minimizing any potential impact on the surrounding properties. Additionally, a special use permit for outdoor storage will be managed with proper screening and site maintenance to ensure compliance with the county regulations and maintain the aesthetics of the area. I am committed to working with the county to meet all requirements and address any of these concerns and requests. And I also lived in the county for almost 60 years, my whole life. I've owned this property for about 35 years. It ain't like I'm somebody coming in buying some property trying to make a buck. My home property touches this property. In other words, I go by this, I stay on this property about all the time. And the reason I'm having to rezone it, because I ain't in compliance. I own big trucks. We got dump trucks and stuff. And I've been parking them there for good while, and all at once it become a problem. So I'm trying to rezone it to get in compliance with what's required.
Okay, we understand, sir. Now, a question for you. Even though staff has recommended denial of this, they've also proposed a condition. Should we approve it? Are you in agreement with that condition?
If to drop the restrictions on the heavy commercial, is that what we're saying?
Oh, yes, if we approve your recommendation, your request to rezone it and give you a special use permit, are you in agreement with that condition?
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll make it work, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application? State your name and address in 2 minutes, sir.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Dimitri Dorsius. I live across the street at 2865 Campground Road. Pretty new to the area. We moved here. We are very integrated in the community. My mom works at the daycare around the corner. Our son is enrolled there. And, you know, we believe in what this community is doing, and I think supporting our residents is a big thing. You know, I think, you know, I don't know Terry all that much. You know, we're neighbors, and we talk from time to time, and he's lived here all his life, and you know, he's made provisions. He's put up fencing. He's even talked to me before even starting this whole process, and you know, wanted to get our thoughts on it. How did it impact us? So he really does care about the community, and I think if he's willing to, you know, adhere to the conditions, and I think it should be approved for him. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in approval or in favor?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Stephen. I'm a resident of Douglasville.
Your address?
857 Elma Street.
Okay.
It's my first time speaking now. I'm feeling like, okay. I'm a fleet owner.
Everything's fine, we're not going back.
Yeah, I'm a fleet owner. I own my trucking company. I use Mr. Priest for other purposes of dump trucks. And I still own a property down there at Highway 78 for my fleet. And he approached me, he said, hey, you need a place to park his dump trucks. I said, I don't have it. So the only thing I can do, I can come here, speak on your favor to get your property rezoned so that you don't have problem of parking. That is the reason why I came here today.
Okay.
I'll appreciate if you can look into this, because Douglasville has become a place where everybody park trucks where it's a problem. Every corner you go, trucks are parked everywhere. That will make the city and the county become dirty, because, you know, truckers, they don't care. Sometimes they throw trash everywhere. Crime is gonna come here if this situation is not contained. So that's my concern. That's why I came here to speak on his favor, to get his land approved for the purpose. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Seeing no one moving, I'll close the public hearing in favor and open the public hearing in opposition. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application, please approach the podium. Okay, seeing no one moving, I'll close the public hearing on this matter. Planning and Zoning Board, do you have any questions of the applicant or of staff?
Mr. Brandon Penham, I got a quick question for the applicant, and then a question for staff. Mr. Priest, I see on here that you have heavy truck parking and outdoor storage. Could you elaborate on the outdoor storage? Or is that,
Well, we got dump trucks and we sell topsoil sometimes and dirt. Actually, the county has got dirt from us years back. And it's kind of, and I got like gravel like you put around your house instead of using mulch on pallets, stuff like that.
okay,
And my equipment, of course, and trailers and stuff.
got you. Okay. That was my concern. I just wanted to make sure I clarified what the outdoor storage was.
And all this stuff we talking about, pretty much, you, besides up on the highway from Campground Road, once the trees flourish back, you about gotta be trespassing to see any of this stuff. In other words, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
We ain't going in there and gonna mass clear the place out. I mean, I got this kind of show. I mean, how they talk. I mean, there's how zoning talks, there's no commercial.
If you just
That's
stay behind
good.
the podium.
That's good. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I just wanted to know what.
So you can see, oh, okay, you can handle it. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's all. I just wanted to know what the product would be that would be
Right.
outdoor storage besides the trucks. So you've answered my question clearly.
Right.
Okay.
That's good. I got one more question for staff real quick.
Oh, staff, stand by, Mr. President.
All right,
Yes,
just
sir.
for clarity's sake, so this is considered a down zoning, correct?
No, it would be introducing a higher intensity of use.
So this is a higher intensity.
Yes, sir.
Okay, light industrial is higher. Okay. Okay, that was my biggest question. Okay, thank you. That
Yes,
was
sir.
it.
Okay, any other questions, Planning and Zoning Board?
Yes, this is Melissa Polk. I have a question for the applicant. So my question to you is that I've went by this property, and my concern about this property is that, I guess the word would be beautification of this property. Because right now, currently, it just looks like a big slab of asphalt's put there and this gate with fencing. And so you have a tremendous amount of trucks already parked there. And so my question to you is, as the applicant and the owner of this property, do you have any intentions of making that look better for the community? Or, I mean, like, that's my question about that.
You can't make it look but so good with trucks, but I was going, like, on Campground Road where they at, I'm gonna put some of them Everett, whatever them trees are, that grow about 15 foot tall, to kind of put a buffer in. And I probably will do that down the highway too. That fence you talking about, I just spent a bunch of money putting it, I mean, black vinyl, I just spent $20,000 just putting that little bit of fence up.
And do you intend on putting signage or anything like
No,
that? It just
no.
seems like a
I'm-
random.
This is gonna be pretty tight-knit private parking. It ain't gonna be open for somebody to pull in there and park no week or nothing. If anybody's gonna park there, they gonna have to sign up for about 6 months to a year. I just don't want anybody, cause I got a lot of valuable stuff that's been sitting in there for years, and I don't need I don't want anybody coming in and out and my stuff get tampered with neither. So it ain't gonna just be open to just anybody parking in there.
Okay. So just for clarification, right now, as the property looks with the gating, the fencing, that is the permanent look for that spot?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna put probably some shrubbery up there, and I'm gonna change that gate to a different style gate. I'm probably gonna put like a cantilever gate in that's taller.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Priest, don't leave yet.
One of my concerns, I guess, would be of security. Is it open 24 hours, or do you have lights or anything?
I'm gonna put some lights in and stuff. But like I said, I've got cameras. I've had cameras down there for years. If you come in and out, if you went in down there right now, they'll send a picture to my phone. I mean, I watched the place. I live down there. My wife, we got walking trails in the woods. We come up in there all the time, but I'll add some more cameras or whatever also. And I'm gonna try to, like I said, I don't want a bunch of people parking in there. I may end up putting a gate deal in with one of them swipe cards so I know who come in and out.
So the drivers go in and out,
Right,
they just
right.
drop off and then
Yeah,
they'll
I mean,
leave?
the drivers that's coming in and out right now is my family, my nephews and all. and my brother.
They're not staying there overnight.
No, they ain't nobody gonna be staying in no trucks overnight, no, no.
Okay, thank you.
Hold on. Mr. Priest, you can come back. I have one more question. With the amount of heavy truck parking and outdoor storage, how much of acreage are you going to be using for that, just for solely for that, of the acres that you have?
Probably 3.
Okay, how many total acres is there?
How many total acres I got there?
Yes.
Almost 10.
Okay, so just 3 of that's going to be?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, any other questions?
One final question. This is just for staff. When they go through development review, will they touch on the beautification part that she was referring to when they go through the development review and the lighting and the security and cameras and all that?
Yes, sir. So a part of the Development Review Committee process, we have the Douglas County engineer and arborist who oversees landscaping, buffering, screening. As well as with outdoor storage, there are screening requirements.
Okay. So, Mr. Lawrence, if approved, then that's what that was referring to, is that you'll have to go through the Development Review Committee, and they'll kind of talk to you about that process of beautification, what's expected and what's needed. But that's all. I just wanted to make that clear for the record. Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, Madam Chair, I'll throw it to the Board of Commissioners for questions you may have.
Okay, thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Board of Commissioners, do you have any questions for the
Yes, Madam
applicant?
Chair.
Okay. Vice Chairman, you have the floor.
Mr. Priest, just one more, please, sir. One more, Mr. Priest.
I can't hear.
No, that's okay, sir. I'll try and speak up. Would you be willing, if we made a condition in regards to beautification in regards to the front of that property at Veterans Memorial Highway, would you agree to those terms, such as putting in cypresses or something? Because I admit, that area when you pass by there, it just could look a little bit,
Well, yeah, I've been working on it, what you see in there is gonna be done different, right there at the road. I know what you're talking about, where that big old hole is.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
But
that's gonna, sooner or later, gonna not leave no hole there.
Okay, but if we added that in as a condition, would you agree to that?
Fixing that area?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's fine, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
I'm working on that now.
Okay, and would you agree to also some sort of a security gate there? Would you also agree to a term, as you mentioned, probably a security gate, but probably not? Would you agree to a condition of a more secured area for truck parking, a security gate of some fashion? Yes, sir.
Is that what it say, the line?
Yeah, security gate.
Yeah, I'm gonna change that gate, put
Okay.
a taller gate in there. Right now, that's just temporary.
Okay.
The fence is new. The fence is
Mhm.
there, it's gonna be there, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I just had it put up, it's 6 foot and it's the nice black vinyl, which I know you probably live out that way.
Yes, sir.
With the black vinyl barbed wire on top and all that, and all the posts are black vinyl coated and all.
Okay, all right. That's all the questions I have, Madam Chair.
But yeah, the fence, that gate's gonna be changed to something that's like that fence or a cantilever deal.
Okay, I yield back, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you so much. Commissioner Raxton, you have the floor.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. So the first question for staff, and this is in regards to, was there any type of feedback or impact statement from public safety?
So public safety didn't indicate anything out of the normal for this proposed use.
Okay. So public, did they provide anything? I'm just curious. I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Yep, they provided their standard comments. Generally, response time is 10 to 15 minutes. Fire didn't propose any. Fire also sits on the Development Review Committee, so they would more than likely address more of their technical impacts at that stage.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And again, I guess this is more of a statement in regards to from a security standpoint, and there is concern, as indicated by even one of the those that came up in support of the application, that we do have a lot of truck parking here in Douglas County. That is a problem, and I am concerned that this could be an increase in that versus the other way around. So with that, Madam Chair, I'll yield the floor.
Okay. Thank you so much. Any other comments, Board? Okay, Commissioner Kenner Jones, you have the floor.
I do have a question for the applicant. Mr. Priest?
There you go.
If you'd
You mentioned that your family are the owners of the trucks that are parking there right now. Did I understand that?
Dump trucks.
So will there be additional people who can come and pay to park at your property?
Yes, but like I say, I mean, it's gonna be very few. Right now, Yancey Brothers Caterpillar got some stuff sitting there because they needed somewhere to put it. And it's actually like first responder stuff, like FEMA, it's generators, big. When I say generators, it'll power this place. That's who's got some stuff parked down there right now. What caused the whole problem, I guess. And,
Yes.
I want somebody like that. If I add anything else, I want somebody, it's gonna be something that they ain't coming in and out. See, them generators, like when it snowed down south, they was all gone. When the tornadoes hit down, that's why they was gone. But right now, they've been sitting there for 3 weeks. Nobody's moved nothing, it ain't. And that's what I want, something like that. I don't want where there's trucks leaving in and out every day, you know, freight trucks. But that limited amount of space, you ain't gonna be able to put a bunch of trucks there. We're talking about 3 acres.
And then this question is
I think there's 15 generators down there right now. And when I fix that front where he's talking about, you could probably put 5 or 6 more. And I got a little, the area I got in the back, I really wanna just keep that for my use. So it ain't gonna be no 200 trucks sitting down there or nothing, probably no 100 trucks.
And this question is for staff.
Say it again.
Staff.
Yes, ma'am.
Did we have any impact studies for road conditions if they're going to be moving in and out heavy equipment like that? Do we have concerns that it's going to have adverse impacts to the roads, that property?
So we have a representative from DOT here tonight that would probably be better to speak on that, if they could. Perfect.
He was hiding back there. I didn't see him.
Thank you, Bruce.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening.
What was the question again, please?
Did we have any impact studies done on that area if there's going to be an increase in heavy equipment or trucks that are bringing in heavy things like the generators that he mentioned? Do we have concerns about damage to the roads or what that's going to do over time?
We do. Veterans is a state route, but that's the primary access point. To provide enough information without overstepping, there was no site plan. So we really don't know the magnitude. I'm listening to parts of the magnitude. It appears to grow a little bit. I'm not really sure. So until DRC's involved, and we see a site plan, and then we start defining some of the conditions that are required for all zoning projects based on this use. And right now, yes, they're going to be concerned. We are going to be adding tractor trailers, et cetera, and the number is what we don't know as of yet. We know what the volume is along Veterans. We know we're dealing with 10,000 cars a day or something like that, but we really don't know the use. He mentioned possibly 3 acres of the 10. That's a third of the property, but if it expands to 10 acres of the 10, we just tripled it.
And for staff, there's currently no condition on the rezoning to say you can only rezone 3 acres for this purpose. The rezoning would go with the entire parcel.
Yes, ma'am, that's true.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I yield back.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Kenneth Jones. Any other questions forward? All right, I yield the floor back to you, Chairman
Thank you,
Simmons.
Madam Chairman. And we've got 2 items here. Planning and Zoning Board will take the zoning. Now, I have a question of staff. Mr. Cronin, do the proposed condition go with the zoning or with a special use permit?
It would apply to the special use permit as
Okay.
proposed.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, for the full property. Planning and Zoning Board, you've heard the discussion. Do I have a motion on Z 2025-24, the rezoning from CHC Heavy Commercial with Conditions to LI Light Industrial.
This is Brandon Penniman. I'll make a motion to approve application Z 2025-24, a request for rezoning
Now I have a
with
motion, do I have
with
a
the
second?
conditions as read in my staff.
The conditions don't go with the zoning.
Okay, thank you.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving Z 2025-24, rezoning from heavy commercial with conditions to light industrial, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you very much. Opposed? It is unanimous, Madam Chairman, that Z 2025-24 comes to you with unanimous recommendation for approval.
Okay, thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Board of Commissioners, you've heard all the questions and answers. Do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move to deny the rezoning request, agenda item Z 2025-24.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion, board? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of denial, please indicate by raising your right hand. Okay. All opposed to the denial, raise your right hand.
I abstain.
Okay, so it's 2-2. The motion fails for lack of a majority. Okay, I yield the floor back to you.
Thank you very much. Do we need to take the special use permit since the zoning was denied?
So again, just to clarify, if the zoning failed, the special use permit, I think, would become moot because heavy truck parking would not be an allowable use in the heavy commercial zoning district. If you would like to have a vote just to clarify that, we can, but you could not approve the special use permit in the CH because that is not allowable use.
Exactly.
Anything you'd like to add?
No, that's correct. Oh, goodness, I'm shorter than I think. But just for clarification, the motion that failed was a motion to approve or deny? Deny. Okay, so if the motion to deny failed, then would there be a different motion?
I do have a point of order or clarification. Can you abstain from a vote if you do not disclose the reason for your abstention and you participated?
So, I'm glad you asked. So, so I recently spent my lunch break attending a conference, and there was much debate about that. I think the overall conclusion was we can't force people to vote. Abstention is something that we try to avoid because it does affect the ability to pass, and also it can affect quorum. That would be distinct from the recusal, which would govern the disclosure of a conflict of interest. So there was a lot of debate about that. Some jurisdictions, they do enforce, hey, but what we determined was there's no real rule on point forcing someone because abstention is distinct from recusal. So that was something new for me too. But it does appear that since it did, the denial failed, I guess we would need to consider if there's another motion.
Okay.
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 That wraps up that item then, right?
Thank you for the clarification. We'll try it again.
Ms. Duncan?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, just to clarify, I think you're saying, Madam Chair, if Madam Chair would like to call for another motion, you certainly are able to do that, to see if anybody would like to put forth another motion in a second.
Board of Commissioners, certainly you've heard all the questions and answers. Do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve Z 2025-24.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion, board? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of an approval, please indicate by raising your right hand. Okay. All opposed, raise your right hand. All abstain, raise your right hand. Okay, so the motion again fails for lack of a majority.
So if I may take a point of privilege, if that's okay with the commission, because we are in a unique position where we don't have a clear identified outcome. If we could have permission, and perhaps if someone wanted to make a motion to table and without deferring it, that way we can pick it up before the conclusion of the meeting, and I can come up with a proposed resolution to our current status, because we are at a stalemate.
Yes.
So if that's acceptable, or if someone wants to make that motion to table, that'll give me the time to try to propose a resolution.
Do you have a timeline on proposal for that resolution, Madam Attorney?
Oh, I was saying, if we table it at, oh goodness.
No, you're okay. You can keep talking.
I'll project. Can everyone hear me? If we
still
table it, then that's not the same as deferring to a later date. We could remove it off the table for this meeting.
Okay.
So we can continue with the next item, and then someone can move to remove it off the table. And I'll notify you all when I have that proposal to assist with that.
Okay. Board of Commissioners, thank you so much, Madam Deputy County Attorney. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion? Anyone like
Madam
to make
Chair,
a
I
motion?
move to table agenda item Z 2025-24.
Okay, do we have a second?
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion?
I do have a question just for a point of clarification. Would that also in turn table S2025-25?
I think you would have to make that motion to include that as a tabled item, because they are separate, but I understand that the impact of one will affect the need to take up the other, but I think it's appropriate to table both.
Okay. So you're asking for a friendly amendment?
Yeah, friendly amendment,
Amendment to the
please.
motion?
Yes, or you can independently move to table S2025. Either or works.
With a friendly amendment,
Okay.
add that.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so I second. Friendly amendment's been made in second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on the floor with the friendly amendment for Z2025 and -24 and S2025-25. Do we have a motion and a second? Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of tabling those two items as stated, please indicate by raising your right hand. Okay, we have a 3. All opposed to tabling? Nothing left but abstain. All abstaining? We have,
Madam Chair, I'd like to vote to table.
okay. So we have 4-1 vote, and the motion carries to table. The item, any specific date, I would like to at least.
No, Madam Chair, because we're simply laying it on the table, we would take it back up in this meeting. We would not be deferring it to another meeting.
Oh, okay.
I
We'll take it.
apologize if I was not clear.
Okay, if you weren't clear. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Ooh, with that being said, I yield the floor back to you, Chairman Simmons.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
And if we could just pause for one
Somebody
moment, we can bring back
Get
in.
Mr. Thomas back
Mr.
in here.
Thomas.
I think Ms. Duncan went to get him. There they come. Okay, our next agenda item, please. Ms. Glenn?
Thank you. Next agenda item is S 2025-26. Applicant is requesting a special use permit to allow dog grooming at 1750 Lee Road. It is a little less than an acre in Commission District 2. The subject property includes a commercial building with multiple tenants in the Appleton Village Plaza. Residential houses border the rear and side property line. Other neighboring uses include heavy commercial to the south and general commercial with conditions to the west of the subject property. The applicant proposes the continued use of a commercial building unit for a dog grooming and boarding service. Here are the relevant code sections. There are no prior zoning actions. The applicant does not have appropriate registration and/or licensure through Douglas County Animal Services to operate as an animal grooming and/or sitting facility. The applicant does not have licensure through the Georgia Department of Agriculture. The inspection led by Georgia Department of Agriculture was failed in 2024. Here is the special use criteria analysis. Here is a zoning map, site aerial. The property is in the Neighborhood Village Center future land use map in the traditional neighborhood character area. Staff is recommending approval with conditions. The conditions are as follows. So we only have 2 of the 4 conditions. They read as follows. The special use permit grants approval for dog grooming and dog sitting only. Any other use with this business must be approved by Douglas County Board of Commissioners through an amendment to the special use permit. The applicant is prohibited from sheltering animals overnight and shall not provide services after close of business at 9 p.m. Give me just a second, please.
Apologies. If you'll bear with us for just a moment while we pull up the staff report so we can read all of the conditions into the record. Okay, I apologize. Here we are. I hope.
I've got them right here. You need me to read them?
I think I have them. I'm very sorry for the delay.
Page 178.
My computer was being slow in starting. All right. Apologies, this is being very slow tonight. I'm very sorry for the delay. All right, so in regard to the recommendations, let me get to that section of the report. So again, we find that our findings are this use will not substantially modify the intent, purpose, or spirit of the Douglas County Unified Development Code. We do not think this will negatively impact surrounding properties, and the granting of the special use permit will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare. So we are proposing as conditions, number 1, the applicant may operate the establishment after receiving the appropriate licensure with Douglas County and the Georgia Department of Agriculture. The applicant shall obtain an occupational tax certificate with Douglas County within 90 days of approval, and the applicant shall obtain the appropriate license with the Department of Agriculture prior to obtaining their occupational tax certificate. Number 2, the applicant is required to come into compliance with any outstanding citations from Douglas County Animal Control. Number 3, the special use permit grants approval for dog grooming and dog sitting only. Any other use with this business must be approved by the Douglas County Board of Commissioners through an amendment to the special use permit. And number 4, the applicant is prohibited from sheltering animals overnight and shall not provide services after the close of business at 9 p.m. And we are happy to take any additional questions that you may have at this time. Thank you for your patience. Again, I apologize for the delay.
Okay, thank you, staff. At this point in time, I'll open the public hearing on this matter. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this application, including the applicant, please approach the podium. You'd have 2 minutes per person for a total of 15 minutes. If you'd state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, good evening. My name is Andrea Abrams, the owner of Doggone Pretty Grooming in Borden. Address is 1750 Lee Road, Lithia Springs, 30122. Please excuse my voice, I'm sleepy.
Okay, 2 minutes.
Okay, I love grooming. I've been grooming for over 10 years. I started at PetSmart. I know all of the ins and outs. My customers told me to open up a shop, and that's what I did. I didn't have any business licensing and stuff because at first when I started, it was for fun. It was a passion. It was a hobby. I was doing it because I really, really, really enjoy it. They make me so happy. And that's pretty much it. I just really love what I do. I don't really have anything to say. I will follow every condition just to continue to do what I love.
Okay, thank you very much for saying that you'd follow the conditions.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application, please approach the podium. Ms. Abrams, don't go too far. We'll probably need you in a minute. Okay, seeing no one else approaching the podium in favor, I'd close the public hearing in favor and open the public hearing in opposition. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application, please approach the podium. Okay, seeing no one moving, I'll close the public hearing in opposition. Planning and Zoning Board, you have heard the presentations. Do you have any questions of staff or the applicant?
I have questions for the applicant. So I know that we see all the citations and violations that you have been cited by code enforcement. At this present time, how many dogs do you, because I know you were boarding, were they there overnight?
No, it's boarding for the day.
It's just boarding for the day?
They typically supposed to leave at 9 o'clock. However, my customers don't always follow that. They tend to keep us working all the time, but I'm always on them and try to make sure they come get them in a reasonable time. But sometimes the customers just don't. They just don't come back on time, is what I mean.
Okay. Do you have any, I know that the location you're at, do you have any problems with your adjacent businesses that's beside you, with any complaints or any problems with the dogs?
No, actually, they love to come visit and watch me do my job every day, like all the time. They come over there to see it because they want to see all of the different puppies, the different animals. So no complaints yet. There was one, but it was my mistake because we opened the door blowing some hair out. But other than that, we fixed it, we corrected it, talked to the landlord, and everything was fine.
Okay. I don't have any questions.
Rob Thomas, I have a question. So, understand you came to us through code enforcement, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you just didn't know the rules and things that needed, that were required, I should say, that the licensing?
Yes.
Both with the state, animal control, what have you, and then also with the county?
Yes.
Because you're in a county license as
So
well.
before I could move forward, I had to do this first. I couldn't get no business license prior to that. I tried to do that, and I obviously was backwards.
What's involved with the other licenses, not the business license?
The kennel
but
license.
Yes, what's involved with that?
I got to have a kennel license to hold puppies.
Yeah, but what's involved with acquiring the license?
I'm not really sure. I know I have to get my business license first. That's what they told me from the paperwork.
I think well, the conditions tell you the order.
To get the business
All right.
license, but I thought that this was the first step because I couldn't do anything until I get permission to.
I think I read the conditions. I think you have to get in a combination of, I'll let her talk about it.
So again, just to clarify, I think what Ms. Abrams is referring to is she needs her special use permit tonight, if the board is inclined to approve it, before we can issue her business license. And then we will work with Animal Control and the Georgia Department of Agriculture about any future licenses. But yes, we typically require that they will have their Department of Agriculture permit before we'll issue the business license. But those processes will run concurrent to one
Okay,
another.
concurrent.
What she needs is a special use permit before we can move forward on those.
Okay, that makes sense. So you understand?
Yes.
Okay, all right. The sequence of events, all right. Well, thank you.
Any other questions?
I just have one other thing. I'm sure competition is no problem for you because there's a dog grooming business right across the street.
Yes.
So you don't have any problems with that?
No, my customers follow me from long time ago. I started off at PetSmart, so I took all them customers too. So, no, yeah,
Okay.
no complaints.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Planning and zoning? Hearing none, Board of Commissioners, Madam Chairman, I'll throw it over to you for questions you folks may have.
Okay, thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Board of Commissioners, are there any questions? Commissioner Kenner Jones, you have the floor.
Staff, you mentioned that there were citations from Animal Control. What were the citations?
Give me just one moment, please. All right, the impact statement is in the staff report. So the impact statement from Animal Control should be included in the staff report. And I'm going to go back and take a look at that and share specifically E911, Sheriff, Planning and Zoning. Do you remember off the top of your head what it was for Animal Control? I just want to make sure that we have that. All right. Again, I'm so sorry for the delay on these specifically. Fire department, sheriff, E911. So, code enforcement. And I apologize, I'm not, if you would like to give me just a moment, I can pull that up. I'm not seeing it with what I have here specifically. I do believe that part of the concerns that were expressed to us by Animal Control was operating without the approval from the Department of Agriculture. There was also a concern that when the Department of Agriculture came out for an inspection, they did fail that initial inspection. My understanding is that there was a dog that was there when the facility was not properly licensed. That dog did escape and did come to harm from the facility that was not properly licensed. But I can pull that specifically from our record if you would like me to share those specific
Yes,
comments
please.
with you. Okay.
And you said that that dog did come to harm. It was.
That is my understanding, is that the dog did come to harm as a result. But
And what were the issues with the failed inspection?
I don't know that I have that information because that was from the Department of Agriculture. That was provided to us by Animal Control. I can just double check the record. As you know, my computers does seem to be working very slowly, but I can pull the file and I can pull that impact statement up and share that with you specifically.
And this question is for the applicant while you look for those. What mechanism or what are you doing to ensure that the dogs and cats, whomever you're grooming, have the appropriate vaccinations so that they are not infected or infecting other dogs that you service?
The rabies vaccinations, I keep it, everything is online, so when they do book online, they can either send me a picture via text message, they can bring it inside, or I ask my customers to please just post it on the website, so before they even come in, I can see if I can take the dog or not. But rabies vaccinations and bordetella are the two that I require because it's apparently state recommended, from what I understand.
And are you making sure that they are up to date on their worms, heartworms,
Yes,
fleas,
ma'am.
ticks?
Yes, ma'am. I can only take their word in the vet's paperwork, but because of course the paper has to come from the vet, and everything that they have is typically on there.
And how many animals are you servicing at a time?
Maybe about 5 at a time.
How many people do you have on staff?
2, just me and Fatima.
And beyond Ms. Duncan, I have no further questions.
Okay. I could talk about the reasons why they gave me the I forgot the question, but it was because the cages were stacked and they needed to be separated, and also a fire extinguisher, which I also have now.
I do have one more question. So you mentioned that you previously worked at PetSmart. What business training, though, do you have to ensure that you stay in compliance? Because that is a concern for me that something like that the cages would be stacked, wouldn't be apparent.
I didn't know initially that it would be a problem because where I came from, PetSmart, of course, the cages were stacked. However, they just looked a little different. So this is my first business. I'm not going to lie. I'm learning as I go.
Were they secured to the wall? Because the ones at
They are on
PetSmart
the
are
wall,
bolted
yes.
to the wall.
They
but-
are on the wall. The ones at PetSmart are not to the wall, actually. You can roll them around, move them away, just like with my cages as well. You can take them down and put them together. Some of them are collapsible, some of them are not. We use them both at PetSmart, so I didn't think that it would be a problem.
Gotcha.
And I worked at a kennel, too. Oh, but that's it. That's the only business thing. Is just
What's
running
the
this one.
latest that people are coming back to pick the dogs up?
Normally, I try to be home by 6:30, so maybe 5 p.m. I'm not gonna lie. Some nights, maybe 7 p.m. at the latest. I don't even try to be there past 9 o'clock.
So are you saying that y'all are still there at 9 o'clock?
No.
Or that there has been times where people have left the dogs there until 9 o'clock?
Yes, for babysitting, for boarding. Yes, ma'am. For the entire day. That's when we end the day at 9 p.m.
So what time is drop off?
So it varies. When people go to work, it just depends. I can have them for the whole day, just from like 8. We open at 8 o'clock in the morning, if that's the question. 8 a.m. until, or whatever time they may need me for.
And are there dogs that are there for grooming but not for boarding, and then
Yes.
vice versa?
Yes.
But they're still staying at the 5 dogs or cats total?
Only 5, because I can't, it's just me. So and I'm the only groomer, and I have a bather. She's kind of like my assistant, so she helps me with everything.
But I'm
So-
saying if the dog's not getting groomed, like if I just want to bring my pet there, if you have 5 for grooming, can I still bring a dog there for daycare?
Yes.
So there are times where there'll be more than 5 dogs or cats in the facility?
I have my dogs for grooming for just an hour or 2 hours, so they're probably gone before the next one can come in. That's how fast I work, on purpose, because I want them gone too, because they bark a lot. So.
Again, I apologize for the delay. This is reading from the impact statement. This was reported November 22nd, 2024. Animal control was called out to 1750 Lee Road due to a dog getting loose from a boarding facility that was subsequently hit by a car and killed. During the investigation, it was noted that the owner, Andre Abrams, with the business Doggone Pretty, was not licensed by the Georgia Department of Agriculture for running a pet establishment and was not registered with Douglas County as a boarding facility. On a subsequent visit in December of 2024, an inspector with the Georgia Department of Agriculture visited the location at 1750 Lee Road to do a pre-licensing inspection. The inspection received a fail, and Ms. Abrams was given notice to comply, accompanied by information to rectify the areas that were failed. To this date, a re-inspection appointment has not been initiated by Ms. Abrams to follow through on state license. And then there is a description of the property. So those 2 items were identified in addition to the failure to have any appropriate licenses through the county or the state.
And did you say it has not been rescheduled?
According to the impact statement we received from Animal Control, it has not been rescheduled as of the date that we received this, which probably would have been about 2 weeks ago.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I yield back.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Kenner Jones. Any other questions
Just
for
one,
Commissioner?
Madam Chair. To the applicant.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Okay. All right, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay.
All right, so this is to the applicant. So I know that you stated that you worked at PetSmart, but how long have you been running your own business?
I started off in my house. I got fired from PetSmart in 2019, right during COVID. And then after that, I was doing it in my garage for a little while just to get the bills paid because I just was doing it. So I was doing it at home at first for a little while. So maybe about 4 years, 4 or 5 years. What's this, 2025? So 2020 is kind of like when I kind of took it serious.
Okay, so you've been running this business without the license for about 5 years?
Yes, technically, yes.
Okay, all right. And then this is both boarding and grooming.
No, initially it was just grooming because I was doing it out of my house.
Right, but I'm saying what we're talking about now.
Oh,
What
yes,
you're
for
doing
both.
now, the services that you're providing now is both boarding and grooming.
Yes, sir.
So the application will be for both boarding and grooming?
Yes.
Versus grooming only?
Yes.
Okay. So grooming, we talked about the 5 dogs or animals at one time. But you could also board additionally, so you could have more than 5 animals at any one time. Is that a correct assumption?
I'm not sure because I don't know how many dogs I can have in there. So for me, I'm mainly based on just grooming. So I don't know how to answer that question.
Okay, well, let me ask it this way. Has there been a time when there's been more than 5 dogs in your facility, in your home?
In my house, no. Heck no. It was only 1 dog at once, like literally 1 dog at a time. I would do each dog per hour at my house. I didn't even have cages in my house at the time. They would drop off the dog, pick them up as soon as I call them, literally 1 hour. That's all it takes me to groom them. So at that time, at my house, no, it was not multiple dogs at my house. I don't do them that way because I
Okay.
couldn't control them myself
Okay,
to have so many of them with no cages in the garage.
okay. So we heard the one incident where there was a dog that was impacted. What has changed since that incident? What did you do differently?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but just being way more careful. I've been in the business for a long time, so I just know animals. You know, some of them you cannot control, and I try my hardest. I try to be the dog whisperer as best as I could. Some of them, though, you just cannot control them, and I tried my hardest even to control him. He ran past me, so it wasn't so much that we could do for that. But what we're doing to change things is just making sure we keeping the dogs leashed at all times, even before we putting them in the cage, taking them out, just continuously keeping a leash on them at all times. I feel like that will help me with that incident or future incidents that could happen.
You said keeping them on leash?
Keeping them leashed at all times, yes. There was also a policy that we did at PetSmart as well, which not saying that we didn't follow that. That dog literally just bust through the cage. Like he was just anxious. I feel so bad about that every time I think about it.
Okay. So I guess maybe the last question, in case the owner says that my dog was injured at your facility, is that something without a business license? I'm just kind of thinking, how would, an owner go about, having that conversation with
Being
you?
empathetic, having sympathy, sending flowers, telling them, sharing my deepest condolences, letting them know that we tried everything in our power to stop that from happening, crying to them, like letting them see me, let them feel how I feel when it happens to their dog. It happens to me because I love them dogs like they're mine. So just letting the pet parent know that I care, and it was just a mistake, and they happened. And that's pretty much it. Just letting the pet parent know that my heart is way bigger than that mistake that happened. We tried our hardest to avoid it.
All right, Madam Chair, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you so much. Commissioner Mitchell?
Just one question to the applicant.
Yes.
Just so I'm clear, because I think we're a little confused. You're doing the grooming and you're saying 5. 5 dogs.
Yes.
Yeah. And then your dog setting or your boarding, is that how many or?
It's not, again, I don't do that many board dogs. I do mostly grooming. So if a board dog comes, it's probably 1 dog. Just 1 dog, like literally. I don't
So
have
now
that
we
many.
got 6 dogs potentially?
No, because when that board dog comes, the first one will already be gone by the time that dog comes. Sometimes a board dog come at 5 p.m. Before 5 p.m. then hit, I done already got finished with 5 or 10 dogs. So the dogs are like in and out.
Got it. Okay. So, okay. And these are boarding that's overnight?
No,
Stay
only until 9 p.m.
until 9?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. So there's no overnight
No.
setting or boarding or anything of that caliber?
No.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Well, thank you again. Oh, and you said your staff is only just you and
Me and Fatima.
Fatima. That's your staff. Just 2 of you guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And that's okay. Go ahead.
I did have a previous employee, but he quit. He didn't want to work. He couldn't deal with the dog poop and stuff like that. But right now, it's just me and Fatima.
Got it. So just a staff of 2.
Yeah.
And is there any particular dogs that you deal with or don't deal with? Or is it just bring your dog, groom them,
They have to
make them
schedule
look pretty and all
appointments.
that good stuff?
They schedule appointments, and while they're scheduling the appointment, they can tell me the dog's age, breed, how old they are. So that way, I'm kind of like already knowing what's going on. Also, a picture is included in that too. So before they even make it to me, like the day before, I'm checking to see how many dogs are on the schedule, how many I could take at, a certain amount of time. So, yeah, I make them do appointments, so no one's just walking up or coming in unless it's a walk-in.
Oh, so you do accept walk-ins?
I do accept walk-ins, yes, I do.
Okay.
Well, on the slow days when nothing's there, yes, I do.
Got it.
I have
And that
to.
one you wouldn't know size dog, small,
There's
big,
no
little?
sizes for me. I can groom anything with fur, any dog with fur.
Any dog with fur? Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
I yield, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Mitchell. If I could have the staff, there you go. Manager Duncan.
Yes, ma'am.
You indicated earlier that in order for the client to receive the Department of Agriculture permit, she would have to receive a special use permission, correct? The special use permit first before she's eligible to apply for the Department of Agriculture permit. Is that correct?
Right, so we would, if the special use permit is granted, then we would work with animal control. They are the ones with the relationship with the Department of Agriculture, so we would make sure that all, the special use permit would be the critical license, for the county, and then work through animal control with the Department of Agriculture to get that permit so that we could then finally issue her occupational tax certificate if all is approved.
Okay, thank you for answering my question. I yield back the floor to you, Chairman Simmons.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Planning and zoning, you've heard the discussion and the presentation. Do I have a motion on S 2025-26?
This is Rob Thomas. I'd like to make a motion to approve S 2025-26, a special use permit to allow dog grooming at 1750 Lee Road, with all the conditions read in by staff.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
This is Brandon Penman. I second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. All in favor of approving S 2025-26 with the conditions that were read in, please signify by raising your hand. All opposed? 4-2. Madam Chairman, S 2025-26 comes to you with a recommendation for approval with the conditions.
Thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Board of Commissioners, you've heard all the questions and answers. Do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to deny agenda item S 2025-26 for a special use permit to allow for dog grooming.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion, board? We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor of denial, please indicate by raising your right hand. Okay. All opposed? Okay, it's a 3-2 vote, and the motion carries for denial.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Next agenda item, please. Mr. Cronin.
Our next agenda item is a special use permit, item S 2025-27. This is to allow a short-term rental located at 3590 McCowan Road. The lot is 0.56 acres. This is in Commission District Number 1. There's a 1,495 square foot single-family detached dwelling sited. The residence was built in 2022. The lot's within the Southern Pines neighborhood. The applicant is proposing to utilize the existing single-family dwelling as a short-term rental, the basement portion. The property is owner-occupied. We've taken a look at the relevant code sections. The applicant indicated that the upstairs portion of the dwelling will be maintained for family use, and the basement of the dwelling will be used for short-term rentals. The character of the dwelling is proposed to remain single-family detached residential. No site modifications are proposed in connection with the proposed use. We've taken a look at the special use criteria. It's residential low density. Here's an updated aerial showing the house fully built, and here's a survey. It's in the suburban living future land use map and the traditional neighborhood character area. Staff's recommending approval with conditions based upon the findings that the granting of the use will not modify the intent, purpose, or spirit of the Unified Development Code, and the granting of the use will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare. The condition proposed is that the approval of the short-term rental is limited to the use of the existing single-family detached dwelling only. The use of any structures outside of the existing single-family detached dwelling in connection with a short-term rental will not be permitted. So that includes any kind of campers or anything like that, not fit for permanent occupancy. That concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions as they come.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Corona. This time, I'll open the public hearing on this matter. Anyone, including the applicant or the applicant's representative, that'd like to speak in favor of this application, please approach the podium. You'd have 2 minutes per person for allocated time of 15 minutes. If you'd state your name and address for the record, and then 2 minutes, please.
Hello, Erica Cabrera, 3590 McCown Road, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134.
It has a life of its own.
Yeah. My name's Erica, and my fiance and I moved here from South Florida to provide a more affordable and family-friendly environment for our son, who is 2. We're deeply committed to maintaining the safe and well-regulated and welcoming environment for both residents and visitors. Our 2-year-old son attends Montessori School of Douglasville, and we plan to ensure our home remains a positive addition to the neighborhood. We take great pride in maintaining the property and having had the opportunity to meet with our neighbors and share our vision for responsible short-term renting. No changes to the structure of the home have been made or will be made. We have also discussed our business plans with our immediate neighbors and are pleased to confirm that we have their full support. Our short-term rental will be personally managed and cleaned by us as we live in the upstairs portion of the home. To prioritize safety, we planned to thoroughly vet all guests through ID validation on our booking platform, and we will not allow anyone under the age of 21 to book or stay without an appropriate adult. Security cameras are also in place on the property. Additionally, I'm personally Barbicide safety and sanitation certified, ensuring that we are maintaining the highest hygiene standards for the guests. We plan to implement strict parking guidelines. As you can see from the image, our actual home and our driveway is about like 80 feet long, so it's very far away, so there's no street parking and there's no need for any of the residents to park on the street. We plan to, in order to minimize disruption to the neighborhood, our goal is not only to provide a comfortable rental space, but also to preserve the integrity and peace of our community. We appreciate your time and consideration, and we look forward to answering any questions you may have. Thank you for your service in our community.
Okay, thank you very much. Before you leave, you heard the condition that was read into the record. Are you in agreement with that condition?
Yes, we are only applying for the bottom basement portion to be used as a single unit, and it is the only unit that is to be rented for short term.
Okay, thank you very much. If you just stand by, I'm sure we'll have some questions in a moment.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application? Hearing none, or seeing none, I'll close the public hearing in favor and open the public hearing in opposition. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application, please approach the podium. Again, seeing no one moving, I will close the public hearing on this matter. Planning and Zoning Board, do you have any questions of Ms. Cabrera or of staff?
Yes, I do. For the applicant? Yes, I see that you're the short-term rental. How many bedrooms are going to be available in the basement, and how many square foot is in the basement?
I'm not 100% certain of the square footage, but it is a 1-bedroom in the downstairs portion. It is 1 bedroom. It's a living room area. It also has a bathroom that was already constructed with the home. So what we've done is we've created like a theater experience. We put a projector, and it has a bedroom as well as a bathroom. So it's kind of like a small apartment.
So what is your expected amount of guests that's going to be living in the basement?
We have a maximum of 4 allowed, so there's should be 2 full beds in the 1 bedroom that fit comfortably, and we have no more than 4 guests allowed.
4 guests? Okay, that's all I have.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. You didn't mention a kitchen. Does it have a kitchen?
There is a kitchenette, which there's a small sink down there with a mini fridge.
Okay. I think that's all for me. Oh, yeah, is it listed with Airbnb?
Yes.
It is? Okay. All right.
Any other questions, Planning and Zoning? Hearing none, Madam Chairman, over to the Board of Commissioners for questions you folks may have.
Thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Board of Commissioners, are there any questions?
I do have a couple.
Okay. Commissioner Mitchell, you have the floor.
Got it. Just so I'm clear, though, I think so there's a kitchenette you mentioned, and 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and I'm assuming it's a full bath.
Yes, correct.
Okay, shower, bath, hold on, okay.
Yes.
And is 1 room, and let me back up. How many rooms? Was it 1 room, I think?
1 bedroom.
1 bedroom, but you got 4, you got bunk beds in it or something you're trying to?
No, the bedroom is suitable space for 2 full-size beds.
Oh,
so
okay.
like 2 double beds, like in a hotel room, I guess. If you
Got
can
it,
imagine.
got it,
Yeah.
okay. And have you gotten any requests for such a tight living quarters stay like that through Airbnb?
Yes, we do have lots of family members who have come to visit other family members. I think we had like a group of wrestlers, and, so it's mostly family. Lots of children, which is nice for us because we have a 2-year-old upstairs, so we don't get noise complaints. But yes, there's no complaints on the living space and
Right.
how tight it is.
And how would they enter? Through your house upstairs, or they got a side entry on the back, or however that works
So it's
out?
through the garage. The front door of my home is slightly elevated, so when you walk in, it's a split level. We've closed off that bottom portion to where there's no access to the main home, so they enter through the garage that has a specific code that's changed each time with each guest, as well as a code on the doorknob in order to enter the actual home that's also changed each time with each guest. So they have no access to the main home, and we have no access to them because we don't access our garage while we have guests.
Okay, all right. And you will still be living in the quarters?
Yes, we intend to live. We live there, and we intend to live there.
Got it. Okay, thank you. I yield back, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Mitchell. Any other questions, Board? All right, I yield the floor back to you. Chairman
Thank you,
Simmons.
Madam Chairman. You may sit down. Planning and Zoning Board, you've heard the presentation. Do I have a motion on S 2025-27?
Mr. Brandon Penniman, I make a motion to approve S 2025-27 with the conditions as read by staff.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
It's Rob Thomas. I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving S 2025-27 with the conditions read into the record, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you very much. That's unanimous. Madam Chair, S 2025-27 comes to you with a recommendation for approval.
Board of Commissioners, you've heard all the questions and answers. Do we have a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve item S 2025-27 with a motion to approve with the said conditions. I'm sorry. Go ahead, with the said conditions.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion, Board? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of approval for S 205-27, please indicate by raising your right hand. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries for approval. Thank you. I yield the floor back to you.
Thank you very much, Madam
Chairman
Chairman.
Simmons.
Mr. Barrow, we thank you and best of luck. Next agenda item, please, Mr. Cronin again.
Yes, sir. So our next agenda item is Z 2025-30. This is a rezoning from light industrial, general commercial, and heavy commercial to residential high density for a townhome development. It's located at 10371, 10391, and 10431 Veterans Memorial Highway. The lot size is 13 acres when combined. This is in Commission District Number 1. The site is vacant with cleared areas. The site is mostly overall wooded. A portion of the site is on a parcel with an existing shopping center, but the shopping center is outside of the scope of the proposal and the project. You might have noticed 2 site plans. The parcel with the shopping center is outside of the project. The applicant is proposing a 93-unit townhome development with access on Boyd Street, a local road. The proposal for 101 units is contingent upon buy-in from the owner of the shopping center parcel to the north of the site, so the parcel with the shopping center was not included as a parcel of rezoning within the application. Taking a look at the relevant code section, in the prior zoning actions, in 1987 there was a request for rezoning from C1 and M1 to C3, now heavy commercial, for a shopping center. That parcel was outside of the scope, but I thought it best to include. In 1987, there was a request for a rezoning from C1 to M1, now light industrial, to split zone that parcel with a shopping center. with the front portion to be zoned as heavy commercial use, with the remainder portion to be rezoned as light industrial. Again, that parcel is outside of the scope. In 1992, there was a request for rezoning from M1 to C2, now heavy commercial, for the heavy commercial site. The access onto Boyd Street was determined to be incompatible with the intent of the Unified Development Code at the March 5th, 2025 Development Review Committee meeting, and access would require substantial improvements onto Boyd Street. The site plan could be modified so as to provide access on Veterans Memorial Highway. The site has the frontage, given the existing frontage, and maintain the intent of the UDC. The Lithia Springs Small Area Plan contemplates satellite higher density residential uses near its town center mixed-use node at Veterans Memorial Highway and Sweetwater Road, and the historic Lithia Springs character area anticipates a higher density of uses within this area. The emphasis within the comprehensive plan is on the compatibility with existing uses. Taking a look at the rezoning criteria, from the zoning map you can see all of its different zoning designations: residential, low density, light industrial, general commercial, and heavy commercial. Here's a picture of the site as it's been developed. It's currently vacant, mostly wooded. The applicant is proposing 93 lots in total, and this is the site plan. Access is proposed onto Boyd Street. And here is some information provided by the applicant as to the anticipated traffic volumes. And here are a few existing conditions looks from Google Maps. And the site is within the mixed-use corridor, future land use, and the historic Lithia Springs character area. Staff is recommending denial of the rezoning based upon the findings that the proposed use would not modify the comprehensive plan. However, the proposed use would modify the intent, purpose, or spirit of the Unified Development Code. The proposed use in its current iteration would adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare. The proposed use has existing frontage on the Veterans Memorial Highway, and with the plan as concept with no construction approved, a modification of the plan is not infeasible. Staff's recommending denial of the rezoning, but is proposing a condition should the board feel inclined to approve. The condition being that the incompatible use buffer where abutting existing single-family detached residential uses shall not be reduced below the required 40 feet per Article 8, Section 813B. Additional conditions include the applicant must receive preliminary plat approval within 6 months of the date of approval, October 1st, 2025. The preliminary plat shall conform substantially to the proposed site plan unless incompatibilities with the Unified Development Code require modification as determined by the Development Review Committee. The applicant must submit to the Development Review Committee for review and consideration of the relevant development standards of the Unified Development Code and any additional concerns as expressed in the department agency impact statements provided within this report or requirements of the Unified Development Code as determined by the Development Review Committee. The approval shall be for a townhome development only. A change in the type of housing units offered from townhomes to another housing type would require resubmission of a site plan for review and approval before the Board of Commissioners. And that concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Curran. At this point in time, I'll open the public hearing. Anyone, including the applicant, would like to speak in favor of this application, please approach the podium. If you would, state your name and address for the record, and then you have 2 minutes, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm the applicant, Mike Forlaw, 8665 Baldwin Parkway, Douglasville, Georgia. The subject site is currently zoned primarily light industrial with some heavy commercial and general commercial. The request is to rezone the subject parcels to high-density residential for the development of fee simple townhome community. The community is to be managed by an HOA, consists of 2-story, 1,600 to 2,100 square foot homes. It includes 2 pocket parks and an additional 1.5 acres proposed for amenities. The development will incorporate the requirements from Appendix A, including architectural requirements and significant landscaping. As the owner of these parcels, I've considered the best development path for these properties at length. We had discussion with neighboring property owners. We've had discussions with county staff. We've performed impact studies. After all this, it was clear to us that a rezoning away from industrial would be in the best interest of everyone. Our proposal is in line with the future land use map. Also, per the 2023 Lithia Springs Small Area Plan, I quote, recommended housing types include townhomes, duplexes, triplexes, and quadplexes. Targeting rezonings away from residential low density will be needed, end quote. Just to speak briefly on the recommended conditions. Item number 1, conditions to a 40-foot buffer. The code does allow for 40% reduction, provided that it's an 8-foot tall structural buffer, so we're not asking for a variance there. We believe that perimeter fencing should be incorporated. Item number 2, we're agreeable. Regarding item number 3, and this is really speaking to the DOT comments, I would like to defer to the findings and recommendations in our traffic study that we had prepared. A quote from the traffic study says, "The future analysis with the addition of the proposed townhomes reveal operations comparable to the no-build condition at each studied intersection. All study intersections will operate well with the same exception as in the no-build analysis." That's a quote from the traffic study. So what our engineer found was that all intersections operate very similar in the no-build condition as they do in the build. Am I
Sure,
up?
2 minutes.
Oh, that was fast.
It did.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application? Okay, seeing no one moving, I'll close the public hearing in favor and open the public hearing in opposition. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application, please approach the podium. You have 2 minutes per person for a total allocated time of 15 minutes. You'd state your name and address for the record, and then 2 minutes.
My name is Tommy Hagler, 3468 Cooper Circle, Lithia Springs, Georgia, 30122. I would like to speak in opposition of this and I will not reiterate what the staff presented. They said pretty much everything I could say, but as a longtime resident of that area, Boyd Street is not one to empty traffic onto to enter onto Bankhead Highway, which is nearly impossible to get on in the morning or the afternoons. If you're out there between 10 and 2, maybe. But traffic is ridiculous in that area. As far as entering onto Boyd Street, you're entering into a school zone immediately behind Annette Wynn Elementary. That school cannot handle the increase in students or anything that might be in that area. It's overcrowded as is. I do not feel that a townhouse situation is appropriate for an area where there is already an established residential area, single housing stuff, and a new Paces Estates housing development going in. Those are houses, nicely built and this kind of stuff. Townhouses in that area is just not appropriate. And I will leave it at that.
Thank you, Mr. Hagler. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition, please approach the podium. 2 minutes for state your name and address.
Yes, my name is Joyce, 6650 Maxwell Drive.
You will speak into the microphone, please.
My name is Joyce Smith, 6650 Maxwell Drive. Where I live is just, actually, if you're coming from Highway 78 onto Boyd Street, Maxwell Drive runs right off of Boyd Street. And as the previous gentleman said, that's an extremely congested area, especially during peak traffic times. And it's just not a conducive area for townhomes to be placed. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Smith. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? If you would state your name and address, and then 2 minutes.
All right, my name is Kathy Camp, and I'm at 3455 Boyd Street. And like the two before me, you can't even get out on the street on Veteran Memorial. It's so crowded. I just can't see a townhome being there. If you come out at 6:30 in the morning, it's hard to get on the street. If you go out at 3 o'clock, it's hard to get on the street. So I just don't see where there's room for anything else. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Camp. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? State your name and address, and in 2 minutes, please.
Good evening. My name is Carolyn Walden. I live at 6650 Maxwell Drive, Lithia Springs, Georgia, 30122. I'm also here to oppose the situation at hand. just like the other three people have said, is not a very good spot or area to add any more residential living facilities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Walden. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? 2 minutes and name and address, please.
It'll be quick, I promise. My name is Karen Smith, and I also live at 6650 Maxwell Drive, just past Boyd Street. Just like the other folks said, I think it would be a traffic nightmare to put townhomes there, not to mention that it's already in a school district for safety and for other reasons as well. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Anyone else in opposition? Seeing no one moving, I'll close the public hearing in opposition. Planning and Zoning Board, you have heard the presentations and the discussion. Do you have any questions of staff or the applicant?
Mr. Rob Thomas, I have a question with staff.
Yes, sir.
So, you've given a history of this property. It was in C1, been moved in different zoning directions. Was it ever vested or any improvements being made to this property?
No, sir. So the current zoning's on the property. Let me pull up the zoning map really quickly.
I see various zonings around it, but you mentioned it was changed.
Yes, sir. So the use as light industrial, heavy commercial, general commercial, those have not been vested.
Okay.
The lots are currently vacant.
Okay. So they put the change in, but never did anything with it. Okay, I understand. I see residential. That's residential outside of the blocks, right? Yeah, okay, I see it right there.
Yes, sir.
So it's surrounded with a lot of residential. What is that in the middle there? At the top, white north.
That's a shopping. That fronts Veterans Memorial.
That's a little shopping center.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
All right. Okay. All right, but thank you. That's wanting to kind of get the history, and they've been vested, so they changed the zoning, but never actually vested it
Yes,
over the
sir.
years. Okay, all right, thank you. I had a question now for the applicant. So, the conditions as they are currently read, do you agree with those?
Well, I don't know if I understand if the access on veterans is a condition or not.
I think DOT, I guess we had to get DOT out here to speak to that.
I'm not against an access on Veterans Memorial. I'm not. I think I want the same thing DOT does. I think I want a safer access. But I don't think we know yet what the Georgia Department of Transportation will require. And I'm aware that there could be a few more can of worms that it opens up if we go that route. I don't mind looking into that, but Bruce maybe has already had conversations with the Georgia DOT.
Okay, let's find out. How you doing, Bruce?
Good, how are you?
What do you say?
The report that we submitted did indicate that we would desire the access on to veterans. I mean, this is 101 homes presented. Typically, you're going to access that on a larger thoroughfare, a major arterial like Veterans, not a local street like Boyd, which is sufficiently narrow that would cause additional improvements to be done. So that's why we recommended no access to Boyd in our report and access through Veterans.
Okay, thank you.
Before you go, who would, if it were approved to access to Boyd, who would make those improvements to Boyd, the applicant or the county?
It would be the applicant.
Okay.
The applicant is creating the need.
Yes, okay, I just want to get that on record, thank you.
I yield.
Any other questions, Planning and Zoning Board? Hearing none, Madam Chairman, I'll throw it to the Board of Commissioners for questions that y'all may have.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Any questions, Board?
I'll take a stab at one.
Oh, okay, go for it. Commissioner Mitchell, you have
To
the floor.
applicant. Just to the applicant, then I'll get with staff. Was there a reasoning as to why the one entrance for 101 townhomes, if I'm not mistaken? I apologize. Can you hear me? Okay. Was there a reasoning as to only the one entrance and exit for 101 townhomes?
I think that would be desirable to discourage through traffic. Now, fire code would require 2 entrances once you reach 120 units.
Right.
So unless required by fire code, I think it would be desirable to prohibit through traffic. And I think the UDC actually has some language in there that discusses that.
Right. And so.
Did that answer the question?
No, you're fine. No, you're good. You're doing good. And I guess the other part of this would be, is there any reasoning why not to do veterans versus Boyd?
Yeah, so I had a traffic study done. It was recommended on Boyd. We submitted that to DRC. We got some comments from DRC that requested the access be on veterans. And we got some feedback from our traffic engineer that he felt like that GDOT would much prefer to not have the access on a major thoroughfare.
Did that come from did that come from GDOT, or is just what did that come
from our consultant that we hired?
Oh, your consultant.
Yeah.
Said
So,
that GDOT.
I guess all I'm saying is, I don't want to. It's hard for me to get up here and commit to saying yes, we will have access on veterans. I don't know if GDOT's going to require.
Oh, we don't want you to
turn lane.
commit. We want you to commit to what you want to do. That's
okay. I'm just telling
this
you.
This is your case. This is not ours.
Okay, I thought it was a condition.
Well,
If it's GDOT could turn it down for proximity to adjacent drives, we're too close, left turn lane. There's just a lot that I don't know about it yet.
Right. So let's be clear, though. I'm only asking just your opinion as to why Boyd versus veterans. And that is GDOT, or is it because you felt you didn't want the cut through? I'm making sure I understand what you're saying.
No, either way, I don't think there would be a cut through. Either way, we would just have one access. Boyd already has, the access from 78 to Boyd already has a right pass lane, and it almost has a right decel lane if you're heading east. So my opinion why I wanted it on Boyd is because it already was very accessible from Highway 78. I didn't know why. I didn't see the reason for another curb cut or widening of 78.
Right. Other than cost.
No, I don't think it's just cost. I mean, there's a lot of things already in place, and you try to prohibit how many times you create a curb cut on a major highway, if you can, typically. So.
Okay. And the impact study, and I was going to ask. I was going to ask your impact study, if you would come to the podium, so I won't be kind of doing sign language trying to get us all there. And your impact study showed the highest and best cut would be or not to be.
Our study, or our comment,
okay,
actually was determined by multiple things.
Mm-hmm.
This proposed site, per the traffic study, indicates there's going to be 864 trips a day.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the study that we require is a distribution pattern. How many are going to turn out of their what was a proposed driveway access on Boyd to go north to access 78?
Right.
And how many are going to go south to go Boyd, Maxwell,
right,
Cooper,
right,
over there to take the cut? Yeah. So you start looking at the numbers. So the numbers are, per their traffic study, is 604 a day to go north onto Boyd, onto 78.
Mm-hmm.
An additional 259 to go south down Maxwell. Now, in looking at further details, we've got areas of Boyd Street that's 17'9"
mm-hmm.
wide total. We don't need to add cars on a 17'9" road when we got a 24-foot minimum
right.
for our standard, for GDOT standard.
Correct, correct.
So it was a multiple factors that played into the overall decision of why. If there was a need to have no access to veterans, then the outcome would be an improvement along the entire path line to now make a proper road design to access the northbound, the 600 that's going north to veterans, and the entire path to go south.
Got it. Understood. Understood. And just one other question. So, how much of this information was shared with the applicant or with Allison and her team? I mean, as to this potential study.
Well, we came to DRC prior to coming to zoning, and all of this was somewhat discussed. I don't want to say every little detail was,
Understood.
but we talked about traffic, we talked about distribution, we talked about volume, we talked about road width, et cetera. And that's where we kind of put the applicant on notice of what we would be asking for.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you. And Allison, just one, how many acres are we speaking of here? This may have been said, I may have missed it.
It's about 13.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir, it's about 13 acres in total. So all these parcels combined.
Right, 13 acres.
Yes, sir.
Okay. With potentially 101 units. Am I correct in the numbers? Am I?
Yes, well, the applicant submitted 2 site plans contingent upon successful negotiations with the parcel outlined in red. Apparently, the applicant is proposing the 93 townhome configuration.
Okay,
So
say that
this-
again. I apologize. I can barely hear you. Say that once again.
Oh, yes, sir. So the applicant submitted 2 site plans. One was contingent on successful negotiations with the parcel outlined in red to include it in the site plan.
So that is not included in this?
Yes, sir.
It is or is not?
It is not.
Okay.
So that brings us to the 93 lot configuration.
Got it.
Yes,
Got
sir.
it. Okay. Okay. Thank you. And I apologize. I shouldn't have called Allison up. I should have called you up.
No
So
worries.
my apologies.
No
Okay.
worries. Yes,
Thank
sir.
you, Madam Chair. And I yield back. I yield.
Any other remarks, board? Commissioner Kenner Jones, you have the floor.
Did you have any renderings of what you were proposing the townhomes to look like?
I do not have any elevation renderings. I'm not going to be the final builder. We are talking to a couple builders, and they are aware of Appendix A and the other county requirements, but I don't have any renderings to share with you tonight.
And so are all the builders that you're in talks with in agreement with the currently proposed site plan?
Yes, they all have a copy of the site plan. Yes.
What's the average price point that they're proposing?
Low to mid 300s.
Madam Chair, I yield back.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Kenner Jones. Any other remarks, board? Okay, I yield the floor back to you.
Thank you,
Chairman
Madam Chairman.
Simmons.
Planning and Zoning Board, you've heard the discussion. Do I have a motion on Z 2025-30?
This is Brandon Penman. I make a motion to deny Z 2025-30.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
This is Melissa Polk. I second that.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All in favor of recommending denial of Z 2025-30, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you very much. Madam Chairman, Z 2025-30 comes to you with a unanimous recommendation for denial.
Thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Board of Commissioners, you've heard all the questions and answers. Do we have a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair. I'd like to make a motion to deny Z 2025-30, again for denial.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the table. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of denial, please indicate by raising your right hand. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries to deny.
Thank you, Madam
Okay.
Chairman. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to take a moment to look at this situation, and thank you, Mr. Thomas, for stepping back out. And so I don't know if you all want to move to remove it off of the table, and then I can kind of give an overlay of where we are.
Madam Chair, I would move to untable agenda item Z 2025-24 and S 2025-25 for further discussion.
Second motion.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to untable. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, board? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of untabling, please indicate by raising your right hand. We have a, is it 3-2, or was your hand? Oh, 4-1. Okay, I couldn't see. 4-1 and 1 opposition. So the motion carries to untable.
Okay. And thank you so much again for this opportunity. So we are in a unique posture. I took a deep dive into our UDC. I took a look at the Douglas County Code of Ordinances, and I looked at OCGA. And so what would help me, and I apologize, I did not take this step before we tabled it before, is just seeking clarity from Commissioner Mitchell. Was it an abstention for a reason other than a conflict, or was it a conflict under the?
I just have to make a decision as to kind of where I stood on it. So it's not
Okay.
personal conflict, I guess, or financial.
Okay, thank you. And the reason I asked for that clarity is because the Douglasville, I apologize, the Douglas County Code speaks to what they call abstention, which really is more like a conflict of interest. And then there is a secondary provision that is specific to zoning, and both speak to there being an identified conflict of interest. So that's why I wanted that clarity, as it does not appear that that is the situation, that it's an abstention from a non-conflict related reason. The code of the county does not speak specifically to that. Interestingly enough, in looking at the UDC, it imposes a requirement that the P&Z board not abstain for non-conflict reasons, but is silent as to the Board of Commissioners. And the OCGA provision is actually referenced in the Douglas County Code of Ordinances, also pertains to a loss of quorum because of a conflict of interest. So we have a situation where none of the statutes, ordinances really speak to the issue at hand. What I can offer is we can do a few things. We can either defer it to a date certain to give me an opportunity to do a deeper dive to see if there's something else out there. There is also an opportunity to revisit the motions. I don't know if you all, through discussion, if your positions are so fixed that the vote is going to stand, because otherwise we have a situation where no action's taken, which really kind of functions as a de facto denial because you didn't take an action to change the zoning. And so the concern there is, then how do we treat the applicant? Because it's not a situation where it's an outright no, where they'd be prohibited from coming back for 6 months. So those are some of the considerations. Those are the best options I could conclude based on the lack of the code and the statute really speaking to these specific set of facts. And so whatever the will of the board is by motion, I'm happy to assist with. Sorry.
Thank you so much, Madam Deputy County Attorney. Board of Commissioners, at this time, certainly would like to entertain a motion if there is one, since we untabled the item. Do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion to deny agenda item Z 2025-24.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion, board? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of denial, please indicate by raising your right hand. All opposed to the denial, please indicate by raising your right hand. So we still have it's locked. And Commissioner Mitchell, you abstaining? Okay, so we have the motion fails for lack of a majority.
She's saying you can try to table it to go for a later time frame, just something for a certain date or something stated.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we table items Z202-24 and S202-25 to the May 5th, May 6th, Planning and Zoning meeting.
Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, board, on the motion made by Commissioner Raxton? We have a motion and a second to table until May 6th. All in favor of tabling to May 6th, please indicate by raising your right hand. We have a 3. All opposed to tabling to May 6th? We have a 3-2 vote, and the motion carries to table it to May 6th. So this item will be tabled.
Thank you. And if I could just perfect the record, I've cited to a couple of ordinances. My computer was in sleep mode, and I'd like to just make it part of the record. That was section 7-9, abstention under the Douglas County Code of Ordinances. Section 7-11, which pertains to zoning specifically, and it of course references the Georgia law, 3667A. So those were the authorities in which I reviewed to try to make that determination.
Okay. I yield the floor back to you, Chairman Simmons.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Our next agenda item, Mr. Cronin.
Yes, sir. So our last agenda item for the night, excuse me, just 1 second. Is the Highway 92 Livable Centers Initiative study. So a little background, the first study was commissioned in 2008. It was implemented in 2009. It identifies Highway 92 as a target of growth and development. It called for a diversity of modes of travel and diversity of residential and commercial opportunities. The 2024 update defined a boundary of the Highway 92 corridor, updated that boundary, promotes multiple modes of transportation and a diversity of residential and commercial opportunities. It creates 2 key nodes with different developmental priorities, and it's built off the 2009 Livable Centers Initiative study, 2019 Highway 92 and Lee Road Small Area Plan, and the 2020 Douglas County Comprehensive Transportation Plan. So these are the bounds of the corridor. It starts at I-20, continues down Highway 92, and ends approximately around the Lee Road Highway 92 intersection. So for the existing conditions, there are 2 Connect Douglas routes, Route 40 to Six Flags, 5 stops, Route 40 to Fulton Industrial, about 6 stops. Annual average daily traffic volume is 25,000 to 30,000 vehicles per day. Vehicle crashes are concentrated at key intersections at I-20, Midway Road, and Lee Road. For our public engagement summary, we had 3 public open houses, 4 steering committee meetings, and stakeholder interviews, as well as a survey. And the takeaways were that the diversity of modes of transportation were desired. There was concentrated growth preferred, a focus on aesthetics, and a diversity of housing types. There were traffic management concerns and a diversity of commercial opportunities and or redevelopment of existing developments was a concern. So the I-20 node is one of the nodes preferred or proposed. The vision of it is a mix of cottage court and duplex or triplex at the immediate exit from Highway 92. There is 0 lot line, single-family detached residential development interior, and the idea is to preserve single-family detached residential character of existing neighborhoods. Continuation of the I-20 node is commercial immediately fronting Highway 92, 0 lot line, single-family detached residential development interior, and the idea is to preserve single-family detached residential character of existing neighborhoods and offer a transition. So node number 2 is the Lee Road node, and there are 2 site plans, concept plans. So along this first concept plan, immediately fronting Lee Road, there's single-family detached residential, anchor commercial along Lee Road, so fronting Highway 92 and Lee Road, cottage court housing, a little more interior, and the idea is to preserve the single-family detached residential character of existing neighborhoods and provide that transition from commercial to maybe a higher intensity single-family and eventually to lower intensity single-family as you back up to the existing neighborhoods. And the concept plan number 2 is commercial along Lee Road extension. So this is the proposed Lee Road extension along that proposal. Duplex and triplex housing is proposed. Single-family detached residential is proposed as you move further along. The idea is also to preserve that single-family character as you move further away from Highway 92. Recommendations from the Highway 92 Livable Centers Initiative Study are streetscape enhancement, transportation shelters, an emphasis on public art and gateways, and placemaking opportunities at key nodes. So the consultants we hired created a 100-day action plan. It calls for reconvening members of the steering committee at an implementation committee to complete targeted projects, coordinating with Connect Douglas to plan for new bus shelters within the study area, initiate countywide arts and culture plan, including a specific emphasis on placemaking opportunities along the Highway 92 corridor, partner with the Douglas County Cultural Arts Council to plan for key locations for public art along the corridor, meet with the Douglas County Parks Department to discuss current and future uses of Mount Carmel Park, begin to update the Unified Development Code to support opportunities for greater diversity of housing types and styles, and apply for a Community Development Assistance Program to evaluate the mix of land uses along key corridors, including Highway 92, and include an evaluation of new housing development since the 2017 housing study. So the priority projects are Connect Douglas bus shelters at existing stops, streetscaping, multi-use trail connecting Deer Lick Park to Mount Carmel Elementary, enhance bicycle and pedestrian crossings at Blomar and Mack Road, implement small examples of public art and create a unified brand for the corridor, identify funding for last-mile connectivity projects to support Connect Douglas and pedestrian transportation, explore options for implementing traffic signal preemption on Connect Douglas buses, and the continuation priority projects are working with the Douglas County's economic development partners, stakeholders, and business owners to recruit commercial opportunities or redevelopment opportunities, and identify opportunities to create demonstration projects along the corridor. And that concludes my summary of the Livable Centers Initiative study. I'd be happy to answer any questions as you have them.
Thank you, Mr. Cronin. At this point in time, I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this, please approach the podium. Seeing no one moving, I will close the public hearing in favor and open the public hearing in opposition. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the Highway 92 LCI update, please approach the podium. Seeing no one moving, I'll close the public hearing on this matter. Planning and Zoning Board, do you have any questions of staff?
I have a question real quick. And forgive me if I just missed it or didn't know. But was this portion in the packet? Was all this information in the packet?
I believe it was posted alongside the packet.
It was? Okay, I must just missed it. Okay, just making sure. This all looks brand new to me. Got it. Thank you.
So if we adopt this today, how does it move forward at that point? Any other adjustments or anything else to be made, or what happens moving forward? I see his recommendations. So is this like 100-day implementation type of scenario, or is it something that's going to happen 100 years?
So it's a set of recommendations to adding to our long-range planning documents.
Okay.
So it'll signal to us that this is a priority of the Board of Commissioners to act in this way, potentially encourage development that aligns with this document.
Okay, so like a steering, kind of guide us in the future.
Yes, sir.
So when requests come in that maybe counter to what we adopt in here, you have something to kind of stand on. So, well, we did adopt this, and kind of goes contrary to what we said we wanted to do moving forward, and that way you kind of have have some kind of cover.
Yes, sir. It would operate in the same way as our small area plan studies, our scenic byway, long-range planning documents like those.
Understand. And where all the inputs come from? What different organizations gave you input to this?
So we identified a set of key stakeholders, important developers within this corridor.
Like who?
So
Hey, you ain't calling me?
Yeah, so one of the things that I mentioned is part of the Livable Centers Initiative program. It does require robust public involvement. So we did have a steering committee. That steering committee did meet multiple times. Those individuals were invited to participate based on their previous interaction with the Planning and Zoning Department. But beyond that, as y'all know, anytime I have a steering committee, it's going to be open to the public. So we had a really good discussion there. I was very proud of the fact that when we had our second public meeting at the studio, we had over 200 people sign in for that meeting. As someone who managed LCI projects at ARC for 10 years, I can tell you that kind of attendance is unheard of. So I was very pleased that we had such a great turnout for that meeting. We had about 60 people that came to our initial LCI kickoff meeting that was over at Deer Lick Park. So overwhelmingly, I would say that we look to our community and to our citizens for the steering, for the feedback on where we wanted to go with this. As with our comprehensive plan, we have a fairly detailed community engagement appendix that is being adopted as a part of this. And so if you have any additional questions about, kind of where we distilled the information from, we made sure that we documented every single comment, feedback, survey response in that document. And to be quite honest, we do go back and look at that all the time. So when we have a new initiative or something, whether it's a moratorium or a new zoning code or anything like that, we go directly back to the comments that the citizens gave us. We make sure that we document all of that. So I think this has been a great project. I really appreciate Austin taking on the heavy lift of managing it. And one other thing that I would add in addition to all the great information he shared is that adoption of the LCI does put us in line for additional funding through the Atlanta Regional Commission through their Livable Centers Initiative program.
Good to know.
So we appreciate your feedback on any of this. And as y'all know, I will stand up here and talk planning as long as y'all want to, but I'm going to pause right there and see if there's anything else we need to discuss. So.
No, I yield. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a quick question. So
ma'am.
as I'm reading through, it states that this would be for I-20 and all on the ramps. And so please forgive me for my ignorance looking at it. So the ramps going all the way through Douglas County, meaning Post Road and all of that for this connection service?
So what you see here, this is going to be the study boundary specific for the LCI. One of the things that we had the opportunity to do as a part of this LCI is to say there could be signature projects that could come out of this area that could apply to other corridors in the county as well as to sort of our other intersections along I-20. Now, we already have a lot of the placemaking that has been done. So at the Thornton Road intersection, we already have kind of the entrance placemaking there. The city of Douglasville has their placemaking at the 92 entrance. One of the things we were suggesting is on the south side, when you're kind of exiting I-20 and coming south on 92 and you're solidly, within the county boundary for the most part, that it might be appropriate to have a commensurate something on that south side of I-20 that identifies that as the county. But then beyond that, as you kind of work your way further out west, we do have certain gateway improvements at each of those intersections. I believe there's a long-range plan to do something at all of the I-20 interchanges over time, but that's mainly what we were trying to propose with this, the recommendations of this study area, but then also looking at where we can transfer them to other parts of the county to create that consistent look and feel for the county.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Just want to, this is another comment. Is some of this in the opportunity zone on Lee Road? I'm thinking that part of this is, and if it is, does it impact any of this?
We don't have any opportunity zones anymore. They have all expired. We have the tax allocation district. Is that maybe what you're referring to?
Well, it used to be over there, but I did hear that they kind of canceled or expired, I should say.
Right, so the opportunity zones that we had through the Department of Community Affairs, those have both expired. There's a federal opportunity zone hanging around out there, and I'm not sure if we've exceeded our length of time on that. I believe most of that is mostly north of I-20. I would have to go back and identify it, but that was not a consideration that we looked at for this improvement. Otherwise, the US 78 and the Thornton Road opportunity zones that were designated through the state, those expired I think 2 years ago, or thereabouts. But we do have a tax allocation district that is not on top of this boundary specifically, but it is kind of largely focused around that intersection at Lee Road and Highway 92. And the tax allocation district captures the increment for the additional tax revenue from new development and reinvests it back into this portion of the county.
Any other questions? Hearing none, Madam Chair, I'll throw it to the board for questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Chairman Simmons. Any questions, board? Commissioner Kenna Jones, you have the floor.
I will just say, I did get a chance to go to the Deer Lick LCI and the one at Great Point Studios, and it was wonderful to see the amount of residents who don't just live in District 2, but from all across the county that were super supportive of this project. And one of the conversations that I've been having with arts and culture is the economic boost that you receive for every dollar you spend on art projects and beautification development. It's $9 back generated for every dollar that you spend. So this has the opportunity to be a great economic driver for the entirety of the county in just this little, 7-mile stretch of area. But they also really did take the bulk of people's information in terms of like clusters for what types of housing that they would like to see, what types of shopping they want to see, what types of parks, all of those things. And so I feel like this is one of the few projects that we've had come where the vocal minority is not controlling the narrative and that the majority of the county's voices have been heard in what has been produced. And so I hope that planning and zoning is very proud. Even in the stakeholders meetings, I've snuck in and sat in the back, and even when people were, not excited about certain things, they could always pick out one or two little things that they could get excited about. So I really do feel like this is a project that fits what the bulk of residents want to see here. With that, I yield back, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Kenneth Jones. Great points. Any other remarks? Okay, I yield back to you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman.
I promise I'm not coming to spoil anyone's evening. I was just going to say, if this is adopted, I've taken the liberty of drafting a resolution, and I have copies. It's very short and sweet, but copies of that should the board want to see.
Planning and Zoning Board, you've heard the discussion. Do we have a motion?
This is Rob Thomas. I make a motion to approval of the Highway 92 LCA update. I make a motion to approval of the Highway 92 LCI update.
Or Curry, second.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor of approval of the Highway 92 LCI update, please signify by raising your hand. All opposed? One abstention. Madam Chairman, the approval of the Highway 592 LCI update comes to you with a recommendation for approval.
Okay. Board of Commissioners, you've heard all the questions and answers. Do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I would make a motion to approve the Highway 92 LCI update.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion, board? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the Highway 92 LCI update, please indicate by raising your right hand. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries with approval. I yield the floor back to you, Chairman Simmons.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. At this point in time, having nothing else to come before the Planning and Zoning Board, I declare our meeting adjourned.
Okay. Board of Commissioners, at this time, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Madam Chair, I move to second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor of adjournment, please indicate by raising your right hand. We have a 5-0 unanimous vote, and the motion carries to be adjourned. Good night, and thank you all for such a wonderful Planning and Zoning and Board of Commissioners meeting. Thank you.